Hello, everyone. Welcome back to End Times Ambience. If you want to skip this director's intro, the timestamp will be in the first comment below. So, what you're about to watch is a remastered version of the Necromorph Apocalypse video I put out last November. The original had a few problems that bugged me enough to go back and rebuild the whole thing. Before we get into it, one thing up front, if you've never played the Dead Space video games, please go out and play them. Seriously, the original trilogy from EA and the remake are some of the best horror games ever made. And this whole project only exists because those games stuck with me for years. Please go support them first. One quick note for the lore fans, I know this doesn't follow the Dead Space canon exactly, and that's on purpose. In the games, the marker is found on Earth hundreds of years in the future, and I wanted my version to be set in present day. So I made a change. In this story, we find the marker on Mars instead. Same dread, just different starting point. If that bugs you, that's fair enough, but it was a deliberate choice. So here's what changed in the remaster. The visuals are all new. The dialogue got a full cleanup, and I wrote a new chapter covering the military response, which in the first version I skipped completely, and that's always felt like a huge hole in this story. In the field reporter, last time I used AI voice for the field anchor, and it just didn't work. She was in some moments of peril that the AI voice just couldn't do. So this time I had a real voice actress named Emily play these parts, and you can hear the differences right away. She did a great job. So thank you. All right. So, with all that being said, I hope you enjoy the show.
Good evening. Before you go, a small confession. Not everything I've made for you lives here in the polite company of YouTube. Several others have wandered off to Patreon, where they wait in the dark. Broadcasts inspired by Resident Evil Code Veronica, Return of the Living Dead, The Fog, Kaiju, and Half-Life, for those who light their dread with a crowbar. All of them mine, none of them affiliated. For as little as $5 a month, you can come find them. I would never dream of forcing your hand, but they're already down there waiting, and they do so hate to be kept waiting. Good evening. Tonight's broadcast is, as you might suspect, a work of fiction. There are, to our knowledge, no alien artifacts pulsing in city centers, no reanimated corpses stalking quarantine zones, and no global cult planning humanity's transformation into something beyond recognition. The voices you're about to hear have been generated by artificial intelligence. The story itself was written and directed by a human mind. These broadcasts, while imagined, carry a weight you may recognize, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or deceased, is purely coincidental. Enjoy the show.
The year is 2025. 10 years ago, on mankind's first mission to Mars, we found something buried beneath the red dust. An artifact, alien in origin. Scientists called it the Black Marker. In the years that followed, a religion grew faster than any in living memory. The Unity Accord went from fringe movement to global phenomenon. Their belief is simple. The marker is a key to human evolution, a bridge between what we are and what we might become. Their influence spread through laboratories, boardrooms, and governments, all working toward a singular vision they call convergence. Tonight, in Times Square, millions gather for what the Unity Accord promises will be their crowning moment, the unveiling of their own replica of the Black Marker. They believe it'll open a new age of understanding. They don't see what's coming for them. In the next few hours, days, and weeks, you'll hear humanity's last broadcast. A transmission of our species' final moments, sent out into the dark, over and over. You're traveling with us now, to a place where evolution takes a turn no one would choose. Where one alien artifact opens the door to extinction. Where humanity's greatest achievement becomes its eulogy. Stay with us. The end has already begun.
Before the monument, before the celebration, there were warnings. The anomalies started long before anyone outside a classified research facility had ever heard the word marker. The first survey crew logged everything. Equipment failures with no identifiable cause. Power surges strong enough to knock out every backup generator on the site within a single afternoon. 2 members of the team were pulled off rotation after reporting hallucinations. A third was sedated after he attacked a colleague with a rock hammer. Tissue samples recovered near the object changed at the cellular level. The cells weren't dying. They were reorganizing into configurations the research team had never documented in any known organism. Official reports scrubbed those findings. Conclusions rewritten to read as routine geological survey work. Every reference to biological anomalies removed before the files reached Washington. But the original field notes survived. What history would come to call the end began as a discovery. 10 years ago, a deep space mining crew working beneath the Martian surface cut into something that shouldn't have been there. A formation carved from materials absent from any known periodic table. Older than any estimate the team could produce. The black marker. Classification was immediate. But half the crew on that dig had families. The things they described over encrypted channels to their wives and husbands eventually reached reporters. Within 18 months, enough detail had leaked to make classification pointless. What the public was told bore no resemblance to what the field teams had recorded in their original notes. Meanwhile, the unredacted data sat on hard drives in 3 different classified storage facilities, telling a version of events the governments had repeatedly refused to confirm. On the night of the unveiling, 2 million people packed into Times Square. Most had driven in from out of state or flown in from other countries for what the Unity Accord had promised would be a new beginning. A covered monument blocked out the billboards overhead. Nobody there had a reason to be afraid. The Accord had formed in the years after the first leaks. A small group of scientists and spiritual leaders who believed the object on Mars carried a message. That finding it hadn't been an accident. Within 5 years, their membership reached the millions. Governments couldn't agree on how to respond. And in that gap, the Accord grew powerful enough to gain access to the original expedition data. Mineral compositions, geometric specifications, everything they needed to build their own version of what had been found beneath the Martian surface, and the resources to actually do it.
Good evening. I'm Isaac Brennan. Tonight we're coming to you live from what may be the largest public event in New York City history, with over 2 million people packed into Midtown Manhattan, centered on Times Square. 10 years ago this month, a deep space mining crew on Mars recovered an object that rewrote the scientific record overnight. Tonight, the organization that built itself around that find is ready to show the world what they've spent the last 5 years constructing. The Unity Accord has been calling this Convergence Eve. For 6 months, a covered installation has been standing in the center of Times Square, and until tonight, nobody outside the Accord's inner circle has been allowed near it. Security has been heavy with checkpoints processing people since early this afternoon. We're about to find out what's underneath. Nicole Clark is live in Times Square. Nicole.
Isaac, I don't think anyone out here expected a turnout like this. The gathering extends in every direction as far as I can see, past 7th Avenue, past Broadway, and it's still growing. Behind me is that covered installation they've kept wrapped in black fabric for the past 6 months. 20 stories, at least. What's getting to me is how quiet it is out here. You'd expect the usual New York energy, but whole sections of people are just standing still, looking up at this thing like they're waiting for a sermon to start. Accord members in ceremonial robes right up front. Families with kids. They're calling tonight Convergence Eve, and the feeling down here is, honestly, hard to read. These people look certain of something, like whatever's coming has already been decided and they're just waiting for the rest of us to catch up. And Isaac, I want to pass this along because I've heard it from several different people now. Some of them say they can feel it, the thing under the fabric, and they've been saying that for weeks.
Nicole, we're hearing the Accord's leadership is about to take the stage.
The Accord has kept the schedule tight, but from what we've been able to piece together, their leader Randall Carr gives the main address and then the covering comes down. I'm seeing movement near the stage. I think something's starting.
Brothers and sisters, 10 years ago, beneath the soil of another world, a mining crew cut into something that shouldn't have been there. Older than any measurement our science possesses, carved from materials that don't exist in nature. Your governments classified it within hours. They built walls around it, fed you a story about geological anomalies and routine survey operations, and expected you to stop asking questions. You didn't stop, and neither did we. The Unity Accord exists because the silence was never acceptable. Tonight, that silence ends. Behold the red marker. What stands before you took 5 years to construct, reconstructed from the original expedition data, mineral by mineral, angle by angle, until every measurement matched what was pulled from beneath the Martian surface. What the governments locked away on another planet, the Accord has brought to you tonight. It speaks, not in words, in frequency, in pattern, in something that reaches into biological matter and finds a part of you that recognizes it. The research teams on Mars felt it. Tonight, 2 million of you will feel it too. There will be people who call us reckless. They had 10 years to share this with you, and they chose to keep it buried. Convergence is coming. The boundaries you've accepted your entire lives, the walls between one mind and another, all of it ends tonight. The signal is the door. Step through and be made whole. Death will lose its meaning when consciousness merges. When billions of minds collapse into one awareness that reaches past flesh, past time, past the walls of the self. Every cell in your body already knows this. Let the signal begin. Make us whole. Make us whole. Make us whole. Make us whole.
That was Randall Carr, leader of the Unity Accord, speaking to the gathering in Times Square as the Accord's reconstruction was revealed to the public. The ceremony wrapped about 30 minutes ago. 20 stories of dark geometric material now standing uncovered in the center of Midtown, visible from blocks in every direction. Nicole, what's the situation on the ground now that the covering's come down?
Isaac, nobody has moved. I've been watching people just stand here staring at this thing since the fabric came down. And I mean staring. The cheering stopped about a minute ago. Thousands of people looking straight up at it in total silence. I don't have a good read on what's happening right now. The mood shifted the second the covering dropped. And I'll have more for you in a few minutes.
We'll come back to Nicole shortly. Joining us now by phone is Dr. Benjamin Hammond, Chief Scientific Advisor to the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, thank you for taking the time. I know tonight's got to be busy for your organization.
Thank you, Isaac. Busy is one word for it. We have been working toward tonight for a very long time, and the scale of what is happening outside still hasn't fully registered.
Your organization has described what's standing in Times Square as more than a monument. Walk us through what you mean by that.
The original object recovered on Mars produced measurable effects on biological samples within a controlled radius, cellular changes, electromagnetic anomalies that had no match in any known biological process. Our reconstruction was built using the same mineral compositions and geometric specifications recovered from the expedition site, and it took 5 years to complete. What we believe we've built is something functionally identical to the original. The energy readings we're picking up from it have been consistent with what the Mars teams recorded. So to answer your question directly, the data suggests it's active.
Active.
It interacts with biological tissue at the cellular level. We've observed in controlled settings what appears to be a form of directed reorganization, cells responding to the electromagnetic signature in ways that suggest communication. I want to be careful with that word, but the data supports it.
Communication with what?
That's actually the question we're still working on. The patterns in the data are ordered, structured, but they repeat at intervals that don't match any natural frequency we've cataloged, and whether that represents intent behind the signal or something else entirely, I'm not prepared to say on the air tonight.
Dr. Hammond, critics of the Accord have raised concerns about placing a copy of an alien object in a city of 8 million people without a full understanding of what it does. How does your organization respond to that?
Every piece of data we have says it's safe. 10 years of study on the original, 5 years of controlled testing before tonight. We ran biological proximity tests at increasing distances, monitored long-term exposure in volunteers over a 2-year period, and none of it produced harmful results. We wouldn't have brought this into a population center if the data suggested otherwise. I understand the concern, and I respect it, but the Accord's position has always been that the data belongs to everyone. For 10 years, it sat inside government facilities where it reached nobody.
Dr. Hammond, thank you for your time tonight. For those just joining us, the Unity Accord has unveiled a 20-story reconstruction of the alien artifact discovered on Mars, now standing uncovered in the center of Times Square. Over 2 million in attendance. Our correspondent Nicole Clark is reporting from the ground that large sections of the audience have gone silent since the covering was removed. We don't have an explanation for that yet. We're working on it, and we'll bring you more as we have it.
Within 24 hours of the unveiling, the first reports started coming in. Emergency room visits near Times Square spiked overnight. Scattered incidents of violence, the kind of thing that gets filed under post-event and forgotten by morning. But there were details in those early reports that didn't make it into the morning broadcasts. Hospital staff described patients arriving with self-inflicted wounds that shouldn't have been survivable. Tissue damage that looked like advanced necrosis, blackened and splitting, on people who had been healthy 12 hours earlier. Some of them were still conscious when the ambulances brought them in. Still talking. First responders described behavior that didn't match any psychiatric condition they'd trained for. Patients who fought through restraints with a kind of strength that made no physical sense. And then there were the morgues. Bodies that had been pronounced dead, properly documented, and stored in refrigerated drawers were found in different positions hours later. Attendants reported sounds from inside sealed compartments. Scratching. One attendant told investigators he opened a drawer and the dead man's head turned toward him. Slow, like it was trying to focus. The official response stuck to crowd-related stress and possible food contamination. 3 separate explanations were offered before noon. None of them mentioned the 20-story object still standing uncovered in the middle of Times Square. 3 broadcasting on frequencies that human ears couldn't detect, but human cells had already begun responding to.
Good morning. Breaking news out of Manhattan, where authorities are investigating a series of violent incidents near Times Square following last night's ceremony. At least 17 people are dead and dozens more hospitalized with what officials are calling unusual injuries. Nicole Clark has been at the scene since the early morning hours. Nicole?
Isaac, the situation out here is bad. I'm outside Mount Sinai West, where ambulances have been rolling in nonstop since 3 o'clock this morning. Staff are running around extremely busy, but those who have given us a moment of time have all said that they are struggling to keep up. Victims coming in are reporting injuries that are not typical of assault patterns. Deep lacerations, massive tissue damage, some have what appear to look like stab wounds. However, eyewitnesses claim that the attackers had only used their hands, and only their hands. What's startling first responders is the behavior of the attackers. EMTs are responding to calls that describe people attacking anyone nearby with a kind of strength that, and I quote, didn't seem physically possible for a human body. We have confirmed that several of the dead had attended last night's ceremony. Family members said that the victims complained of severe headaches and nosebleeds hours after the ceremony. That's when the violent attacks started. Police have now cordoned off several blocks surrounding Times Square. They are calling it a precaution, not a quarantine. However, the officers I've spoken to off record are using a different word for what's going on down here.
Nicole, there are reports of people claiming to hear sounds coming from the structure itself.
Yes, I've talked to several witnesses who were at last night's ceremony. They all described hearing what sounded like singing or humming after the covering came down. They said that you can feel it more than you can hear it, like standing next to a speaker at a concert. Patients at nearby hospitals are reporting the same thing. Officials are calling it a mass psychogenic illness, a mass hysteria brought on by the size of the gathering and emotional intensity of the ceremony. But Isaac, some of the first responders I've spoken to off record said that they are genuinely scared. They are describing things that they cannot explain. Victims who should be unconscious from blood loss are still fighting, still trying to attack people around them. One EMT told me about a patient who was pronounced dead at the scene. As they were loading up the body, it moved. He said it was probably a muscle spasm or a post-mortem contraction, but the way that he described it, it was like he didn't even believe his own explanation.
We're joined now by phone by Dr. Michael Mercer from the Centers for Disease Control. Dr. Mercer, you've been briefed on what's happening in Manhattan. What's your assessment?
Isaac, based on the preliminary reports we've received, this appears to be a case of crowd-related stress compounded by possible mass psychogenic illness. Large gatherings of this size produce elevated stress hormones, sleep deprivation, dehydration. Over 2 million people concentrated in a small area for that long. You're going to see medical emergencies. As for the reports of unusual behavior, we need to be careful about drawing conclusions from preliminary observations made in high-stress emergency situations. What might appear unusual in the moment often has rational explanations once we've had time to properly examine the evidence.
What about the reports of symptoms linked to proximity to the monument, headaches, nosebleeds, claims of hearing sounds that others can't detect?
Those symptoms are consistent with stress and fatigue. When you've got millions of people focused on a single object they've been told has, what was the phrase, special properties, some of them are going to report unusual sensations. Now, the brain convinces the body it's experiencing something that isn't physically present. I understand there's concern about the monument itself, but the Unity Accord provided documentation about the construction materials, and there's no known mechanism by which an inert structure could emit harmful radiation or induce physical symptoms. We're sending a team to evaluate, but based on what we know right now, there's no indication of a biological hazard. I want to be clear about that.
Dr. Mercer, we're talking about 17 confirmed deaths and dozens of hospitalizations within hours of the unveiling. That seems like more than stress and suggestion.
17 deaths in a gathering of 2 million people over a 12-hour period is, and I'm sorry to say this, not statistically unusual. We see similar numbers at large festivals and sporting events. What makes this field different is the concentration of incidents near a highly publicized event, which creates a connection in people's minds that the data may not actually support. We'll examine every case individually. But based on what we know right now, I'd encourage people who attended and are feeling fine to trust that they are fine and not to overwhelm emergency rooms with non-emergency visits.
Dr. Mercer, thank you for your time. Nicole, before we let you go, are authorities releasing anything about the nature of these attacks? Anything beyond what we've already heard?
Police are being extremely careful with what they are sharing. But what I can tell you is that several incidences have occurred involving attackers who were held down by multiple officers, and they kept fighting anyway, despite having injuries that should have stopped them. There is video circulating on social media, unverified, showing a violent altercation near 7th Avenue, where one man continued moving aggressively after sustaining what appeared to be incapacitating injuries. I've also learned that at least 3 bodies in different morgue facilities have all been found in different positions than where staff had placed them. All facilities have security footage and documentation procedures that should have prevented this from happening. All staff who had discovered the discrepancies are also asking to be transferred, and no one is going on camera to talk about what they saw. NYPD has also increased patrols around Times Square and around the monument itself. They are calling it routine security following a major event. But their presence feels heavier than anything I've covered before. Tactical units, barriers at every intersection, officers in protective gear excessive for normal crowd control operations. This feels less like crowd control and more like they are preparing for something more serious.
Nicole Clark reporting live from Manhattan. We'll continue to follow this story throughout the day, and we'll bring you the NYPD press conference live this afternoon.
Hey, it's me. I know you're watching this. I just wanted to say I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Everything's gonna be fine.
By the second day, denial became impossible. They found it in the basement of Mount Sinai West, in a utility corridor off the morgue. Still moving. You could still see who it had been. The face was recognizable from the ID badge still clipped to what remained of the chest, but the arms had stretched past the elbows, bones cracking through the skin and reforming into bladed shapes. The rib cage had split open and spread wide. Something inside was still trying to push its way out. It was alive. Wet breathing mixed with a clicking noise from a throat that had rearranged itself into something that shouldn't have been able to produce sound at all. Security footage showed how it happened. A patient who died during the night, body tagged and wheeled to cold storage. Then something else arrived, barely visible on camera. A shape that came through the ventilation system, with leathery wing beats that the audio picked up clearly. It landed on the corpse. What happened next took less than 3 minutes. The dead man's chest cavity opened from the inside, pushed apart by something forcing its way in, and the creature drove a barbed appendage deep into the tissue. You could see the body convulsing on the table, jerking with movements that had nothing voluntary about them, bones snapping with cracks that the microphone recorded with perfect clarity. When it stood up 3 minutes later, it wasn't dead anymore. The thing that got off the table bore almost no resemblance to the man who'd been wheeled in. The proportions had changed. It moved toward the corridor door with a speed and coordination that suggested whatever was controlling it knew exactly where it was going. The signal had been broadcasting for 36 hours by that point. And within a 5-block radius of the Red Monument, the cellular breakdown had already begun. Living tissue destabilizing at the molecular level. Bodies preparing themselves for a conversion that most of them hadn't died for yet. The infectors were following the frequency, finding the dead and the dying and turning them into something the rest of us had no name for yet. By the time hospital security found the thing in the basement, by the time they called it in, there were already dozens more scattered through the buildings and subway tunnels within the zone. Nobody knew it.
We're interrupting regular programming for breaking news out of Manhattan. Authorities have established a quarantine zone around multiple blocks near Times Square following what officials are calling a biological hazard. We're going directly to Nicole Clark, who has been attempting to reach a secure location. Nicole, can you hear us?
Yes, Isaac, I'm here. I'm outside what used to be the quarantine perimeter, but that perimeter was just expanded for the second time in the past hour. As you can see, there are hazmat teams everywhere, military vehicles, and helicopters flying overhead. I can hear what sounds like sustained gunfire coming from inside the quarantine zone. Not single gunshots, automatic rounds that have been going off without a break for the past 10 minutes. We managed to get audio from a police radio before they switched from open to secure encrypted channels. Officers were screaming about a hostile entity at a hospital facility, saying that it was moving too fast and that normal rounds weren't stopping it. That's when the transmission cut to static.
Nicole, what can you tell us about the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security?
The official statement is a chemical leak from a research facility. They're saying that contaminated materials from the Mars Survey data storage site were mishandled during the Accords construction project. But Isaac, that doesn't explain the gunfire. That doesn't explain why the military is setting up heavy weapons at every intersection I can see from... What is that? Looks like there's something moving between the buildings on the east side. Is that a person? It looks like a person, but something's off. Oh my god, its chest is cracked open. Are those blades? It looks like there's blades. Oh my god, he's running towards Barricade. We gotta get out of here. Run! Get back to the news van!
Nicole, are you still there? Nicole, if you can hear this, get your crew to a safe location. We're joined now by phone by Dr. Benjamin Hammond of the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, authorities are linking this to materials used in your organization's construction. What's your response?
Isaac, what we're witnessing is precisely what the signal was designed to produce. The cellular reorganization, the restructuring of biological matter into new forms. This is what the expedition data always pointed toward. The governments buried it because they were afraid of it. We weren't.
Dr. Hammond, people are dying.
People are changing. The body breaks down and rebuilds into something more efficient, something with a purpose that individual biology could never achieve on its own. Every converted organism adds to the collective, increases the total biomass available for what comes next.
What you're describing as change looks like wholesale slaughter from where we're standing. Is there any way to stop this process once it's started?
Stop it? We passed the point of reversal hours ago when the first infector reached the morgue facilities. Once enough biomass begins converting, the process sustains itself. There's no off switch, Isaac. I realize this is difficult to accept, We're conditioned to resist what we don't understand, to fight anything that threatens the body we know. But the signal offers something beyond individual survival, and every person who enters the conversion becomes part of something that will outlast every one of us.
We've reestablished contact with Nicole Clark on the ground. Nicole?
Isaac, we're okay. We were able to make it back to the news van. I have to document what we saw. What attacked us may have looked human, but it was anything but. This thing took innumerable rounds. It didn't go down. It jumped the 10-foot barricade like it was nothing. We watched it kill a whole group of civilians trying to evacuate. It just a few swings of its blade arms and it was done. And that's not all. The last thing we saw as we were driving away, something else made it through the perimeter. A massive creature, 8 feet tall at least. What looked like armored plating over most of its body. Its arms looked grotesquely huge and enormous. Bone spurs sticking out of all the joints. It walked through the gunfire completely unfazed. I saw more smaller ones, like the one that attacked us, coming out of multiple buildings out of the quarantine zone. We counted at least 6 as we were driving, moving fast and jumping between surfaces. I witnessed one drop from a 3rd-story window and land in a crouch that should have shattered its legs, but it just stood up and attacked a group of nearby soldiers. It looks like the military's pulling back. They can't hold us anymore.
Nicole, stay safe. We're going to continue our coverage of the Manhattan crisis. The Pentagon has released a statement confirming military deployment to establish containment around what they're now officially calling an active threat zone. All bridges and tunnels leading out of Manhattan are under military control. If you're in Manhattan, authorities are asking you to shelter in place and stay away from windows. We'll have more as it becomes available. We interrupt this broadcast for a special address from the President of the United States. We're going live now to the White House. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, look, I'm going to be straight with you tonight. We're facing a situation in Manhattan that nobody saw coming, and nothing in any briefing book ever prepared us for what's happening down there. You know, when I was a young senator, we used to watch these movies about monsters. Night of the Living Dead, The Crazies, George Romero films. And we'd sit there thinking, thank God this is just Hollywood. Well, here we are. Those movies didn't prepare anyone for what our soldiers and first responders are dealing with right now in New York. Now, I want to be clear about the situation. We've got a biological hazard in lower Manhattan. The exact nature of this hazard is still being determined by our best scientists. But what we know is this: people are dying. And some of those people, after they die, they're not staying dead. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I know. But we've got to deal with reality here. The military has established a quarantine zone around Times Square. Our soldiers are doing an incredible job under conditions that no training manual ever covered. These creatures, and I hate calling them that because they used to be people, you can't just shoot them and expect them to stop. Our military has discovered you've got to take the limbs off. That's a hard thing to ask soldiers to do, a very hard thing. Now, some of you are wondering how this happened. The answer involves this organization called the Unity Accord. They built this monument in Times Square, a copy of something we found on Mars 10 years ago. And somehow this thing is connected to what's happening now. Look, I'm going to level with you. There were oversights. There were failures in our regulatory systems. We thought this was just religious expression, freedom of assembly. We didn't imagine anyone would actually build something that could cause this kind of damage. That's on us. That's on my administration. And I take full responsibility. But we're not giving up. We're not backing down. This is America, folks. We don't quit when things get hard. Now, I've been briefed by the Pentagon, by the CDC, by FEMA. They're telling me we got maybe 2 weeks to get this under control before it spreads beyond Manhattan. 2 weeks. That's tight. But we're mobilizing every resource we've got. I want to talk directly to the people still in Manhattan for a moment. If you can hear me, if you're able to evacuate, do it now. Don't wait for official orders. Get to the bridges. The tunnels are still open. Take your families with you. The military will screen you. They've got to. But if you're healthy, if you're not showing symptoms, they'll let you through. And to the families who've lost people in this crisis, I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. Losing someone is always hard, but losing them like this, that's something nobody should have to carry. You know, there's this movie I keep thinking about, 28 Days Later. British film, came out in 2002, about a virus that turns people into these rage-filled monsters. The thing about that movie that always stuck with me was how fast everything fell apart. We're not there. We're not even close. But we need to take this seriously, every single one of us. I want to address the Unity Accord directly. If you're watching this, and I know you are, you need to understand what you've done. Whether you intended this or not, your actions have caused a catastrophe. Thousands are dead, more dying every hour. That monument you built, that marker, it needs to come down. If you've got any information about how to stop this, any knowledge about what that thing does or how it works, you need to come forward now. Tonight, to everyone else in the country, I need you to remain calm. I know what you're seeing on the news is frightening. Believe me, it frightens me too. But panic doesn't help anyone. What helps is taking care of each other. If you've got family or friends evacuating from New York, open your homes to them. Donate whatever you can spare. Volunteer where your skills fit. I'm not going to lie to you and say I know how this ends. I don't. Nobody does. But I can tell you this, we're going to fight with everything we've got until we either win or there's nothing left to fight for. That's my promise to you. That's my commitment as your president. May God bless the victims of this tragedy. May God bless our servicemen and women holding the line tonight. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you and good night.
That was the president addressing the nation about the ongoing Manhattan crisis. We're getting reports that the quarantine zone has expanded by 3 additional blocks in the past hour. Military officials are urging all remaining civilians in Lower Manhattan to evacuate immediately. We'll continue our coverage throughout the night.
I miss you. It's been so long since we talked. Do you remember our last conversation? I do. I remember everything.
Brothers and sisters, I want to speak to you this morning about fear, real fear, the kind that reaches into our homes, the kind that makes us question everything we thought we understood about this world. Many of you came here today carrying that fear. It shows in your faces. I heard it in the prayers before service began. You're afraid for your families, afraid for your neighbors, afraid of what's happening just miles from where we sit right now. Fear is human. Fear is the honest response when we witness the kind of suffering and chaos we've seen these past few days. When we hear about people being changed into something we can't recognize. When we watch our city being torn apart by forces we don't understand. The Psalms are filled with fear. David cried out in terror many times. Job questioned God from the depths of his suffering. Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane felt such anguish that he sweat drops of blood. Fear doesn't make you unfaithful. It makes you honest. But I also want to speak to you about what stands against that fear. Genuine faith in a God who has never abandoned his people, even in their darkest hours. What we're facing right now, this tragedy unfolding in Manhattan, it isn't divine punishment. Let me be clear about that. Some will tell you that God is using this crisis to judge humanity, that these deaths are part of some cosmic plan to cleanse the world. That's not the God I know. That's not the God revealed in Scripture. He doesn't delight in suffering. He grieves with us when we grieve. What's happening in Manhattan is the result of human choices, dangerous choices made by people who thought they could harness something they didn't understand. The Unity Accord believes they're serving a higher purpose, that they're facilitating some kind of evolution. But transformation achieved through death and violence, through the destruction of God's image in humanity, that is corruption. That's taking the sacred gift of life and twisting it into something unrecognizable. And it grieves the heart of God to watch his children suffer this way. I know many of you are asking where God is in all of this, when people are dying, when families are being torn apart, when evil seems to be winning. Let me tell you where he is. God is in the first responders running toward danger instead of away from it, in the doctors and nurses working impossible hours, in the neighbors helping neighbors evacuate, and the soldiers holding the line to protect the innocent. Every act of courage in this crisis, every sacrifice made for the sake of others, that's where God is working. God is working through anyone willing to be his hands and feet in this crisis. And he's here right now in this sanctuary with us, offering exactly what we need to face what's coming: strength, peace that goes beyond understanding, hope that doesn't depend on circumstances, love that casts out fear. The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear. Love gives us something stronger than danger to hold on to. When we root ourselves in God's love, when we remember that nothing can separate us from that love, fear loses its power to control us. I want to pray for everyone still trapped in the quarantine zone, for the families separated from their loved ones, for the medical staff treating the injured, for the military personnel trying to contain the spread, for the scientists working to understand what's happening. And yes, even for the members of the Unity Accord who genuinely believe they're serving some higher purpose. They're deceived. They're causing unimaginable harm, but they're still God's children, still human beings capable of redemption if they turn from this path. We pray for their eyes to be opened, for their hearts to be changed, for them to see the destruction they've caused and choose differently. But I also want to pray for us, for this community, because we have a choice to make about how we respond to this crisis. We can let fear drive us to paranoia and selfishness. We can hoard resources and lock our doors and decide that survival means abandoning everyone outside our immediate circle. Or we can choose the harder path, the path of faith, the path that says even in the darkest circumstances, we're called to love our neighbors as ourselves, to care for the vulnerable, to share what we have with those who have nothing, to be the light that shines in the darkness. When you leave here today, some of you will help with evacuation efforts. Others will open your homes to displaced families or donate supplies to emergency shelters. Some of you will simply go home and hold your families close and pray. All of those responses are faithful responses. God asks us to be faithful with whatever gifts and courage he's given us. Do what you can, help where you're able, and trust that he's doing what only he can do. I won't lie to you and say everything is going to be fine. Nobody in this room knows how this ends, whether the military can contain it, whether scientists can reverse what's been done. What I do know is that God is still on his throne, that his purposes are still unfolding even when we can't see them, that he still holds every one of us in the palm of his hand, and that no matter what happens, no matter how dark things become, his love is stronger than death itself. That's resurrection faith, the same faith that looked at a sealed tomb and believed anyway, the same faith that has sustained God's people through every crisis in history. So go from here today carrying that faith as a foundation, something to stand on when reality becomes overwhelming. Remember that you're not alone. This community stands with you, and the God who promised to never leave you or forsake you, he keeps his promises. Love each other fiercely, pray without ceasing, act with courage when courage is needed, and with wisdom when wisdom is required. Trust that somehow, in ways we may never fully understand, God is still working all things together for good. Even this, even now, may his peace be with you all.
1 week. That's how long it took for the outbreak to evolve from isolated incidents to full-scale war in the streets of Manhattan. The military established kill zones, mandatory evacuation orders for everyone within a 10-block radius of Times Square. But the creatures, the Necromorphs, as some were starting to call them, they were adapting faster than anyone anticipated. New varieties appeared almost daily, each one more specialized, more efficient at what it was designed to do. And what they were designed to do was convert living biomass into more of themselves. The marker signal was strengthening with each conversion. You could measure it now on equipment. A low-frequency pulse that seemed to vibrate through concrete and steel. People living miles from Times Square reported hearing it in their sleep. A humming that vibrated in their chest cavities. Some claimed it was beautiful. Others said it made them want to claw their way out of their own skin. Medical facilities outside the quarantine zone started seeing patients with cellular degradation. Tissue breaking down on its own. Bones shifting under skin that had been intact that morning. And then there were the faithful. Members of the Unity Accord walking deliberately into the infection zone. Walking toward the creatures, arms spread wide, singing hymns about convergence and unity. The military tried to stop them at first, turned them back at checkpoints, but there were too many. Hundreds of believers making pilgrimages to the marker, offering themselves willingly to the process. You could hear their voices on the wind, chanting in perfect unison as the infectors found them, as their bodies convulsed and reformed, as they joined the swarm that was consuming Manhattan block by block. The infected didn't eat their victims. That would have been simpler somehow. They dismantled them, tore them apart with methodical efficiency, and left the pieces scattered for the infectors to find. Every corpse became another soldier. Every death amplified the signal. The marker was building an army from the city itself, and we were running out of ways to fight back.
We're now 1 week into what officials are calling the Manhattan crisis. The quarantine zone has expanded to cover most of lower and midtown Manhattan. Casualty estimates range from 5,000 to 10,000, though authorities acknowledge those numbers are likely significantly higher. Military forces have established defensive perimeters at multiple locations, but the situation continues to deteriorate. Nicole Clark has been documenting the military response from a forward observation point. Nicole, what's the current status?
Isaac, I'm at a checkpoint at the edge of the expanded quarantine zone. Behind me, you can hear sustained weapons fire that has been constant for the past 3 days. The military is engaged in what can only be described as urban warfare against an enemy that doesn't allow any conventional combat protocol. I'm embedded with a National Guard unit, and what they are describing is unlike anything that they have trained for or experienced. The soldiers have given a name for these creatures, though. Necromorphs. The Necromorphs attack in waves. However, the waves are not random. First, you have the slashers. That's what attacked us before. Those are the ones with the elongated arms, and they have blades for hands. They move fast, using walls and ceilings as easily as the floors. They hunt in packs, and they seem to communicate with each other through clicking sounds. When you shoot them, they keep coming, even when hit center mass. Dismemberment is the only reliable way to stop them. You have to sever their limbs. Then you have what they call the infectors. Those are the ones that can fly. They have leathery wings and are about the size of a large dog. They don't attack the living directly. They go for any and all corpses. Civilian, military, other dismembered necromorphs, it doesn't matter to these guys. They land on a body and drive what looks like a stinger into it. Within minutes, the corpse reanimates. Bones break and reform, flesh tears and reshapes. You can hear it happening, the cracking and the wet sounds. And then the corpse stands up as something new and joins in the attack. I witnessed this transformation firsthand during a firefight 2 hours ago. A soldier was hit by one of the slashers, and he died almost instantaneously. His squad attempted to recover his body, but the infectors were too fast. One of them got to him first before his command could pull him back. 3 minutes later, he stood up with blade arms and attacked his own unit. They had to put him down. They had to dismember someone that they had served with for years. The mental toll that this is having to essentially mutilate comrades and friends is breaking these soldiers down in the worst way possible.
Nicole, we're hearing reports of new varieties appearing. Can you describe what you've seen?
Those would be the lurkers. They're smaller in size. They're about the size of a small child. They move along the walls and ceilings like insects, fast and unpredictable. They have 3 barbed tentacle-like appendages that shoot out with incredible force. I've seen them impale soldiers 30 feet away. Once you're impaled, those barbs don't come out easily. And if you are impaled, you're dragged back towards the lurker within range of the other tentacles. That's when the infected arrive. There's also a new type of necromorph that has appeared in the past 2 days. The soldiers are calling these ones the pregnants. They look like a typical necromorph. However, they have a grotesquely distended abdomen, and when they are shot in that area, they explode, and then smaller necromorphs burst out of the corpse of the pregnant. They are also fast-moving with blade-like appendages and will swarm anyone nearby. A single pregnant can take down an entire squad if they don't recognize it in time. And then there are the brutes. Heavy guys, 8 to 10 feet tall, massively built, armored plating that seems to have been made out of hardened bone. Small arms fire cannot penetrate that plate armor. For those guys, you need heavy artillery. Rockets, grenade launchers, mounted machine guns, and even then, it takes multiple rounds to bring down a brute. They can charge through a defensive position like it's made out of paper. I witnessed one demolish a reinforced concrete barricade with its bare hands, ripped it apart, and threw concrete chunks at retreating soldiers. And when you're hit with that, there's nothing left to recover.
We're joined now via secure government line by Dr. Michael Mercer from the CDC. Dr. Mercer, you were last on this program dismissing the initial incidents as stress-related. What's your current assessment?
Isaac, I'm going to be direct. My initial assessment was off, catastrophically off. What we're dealing with is an extreme biological hazard with aggressive reanimation vectors originating from the replica artifact site. The marker, the structure, the unity accord placed in Times Square is emitting a frequency that causes cellular breakdown in living tissue and triggers reanimation in deceased tissue when exposed to a secondary infection vector. The flying organisms your reporter described, the infectors, they're the primary transmission mechanism. We've examined deceased necromorphs when recovery was possible. The cellular structure is human in origin, but radically restructured. Bones reinforced and reshaped. Muscle tissue enhanced beyond normal human capacity. Nervous system reorganized to allow continued function even after what should be fatal trauma. The reanimation process is directed, almost engineered. The marker signal provides a template, and the infector organism triggers the transformation. The result is a biological weapon that builds itself from available human remains. What makes this particularly dangerous is the exponential growth pattern. Every death creates a potential recruit. Every necromorph can generate more through the infector transmission. We're seeing reproduction rates that double every 6 to 8 hours within the active infection zone. The military can kill them faster than they reproduce individually, but they can't kill all of them fast enough to prevent net growth. The mathematics are brutal. If this escapes Manhattan, if it spreads to other population centers, we're looking at a cascading failure of containment protocols.
Dr. Mercer, can this be stopped? Is there any way to reverse the reanimation process or neutralize the marker signal?
We're researching countermeasures, but I need to be honest about our limitations. The marker signal operates on frequencies we're only beginning to understand, outside the electromagnetic spectrum, something that interacts directly with biological tissue at the quantum level. We can't jam it. Conventional shielding doesn't block it. And we certainly can't turn it off because we don't understand the mechanism that's generating it. As for reversing the reanimation process, every specimen we've examined shows irreversible cellular damage. The transformation destroys the original biological identity. Even if we could somehow deactivate a necromorph, we'd be left with a corpse. The person who died is gone. What remains is organic material reorganized for a completely different purpose. There's no bringing them back. Our best option at this point is containment. Keep the infection localized to Manhattan. Establish hard perimeters that nothing crosses. Evacuate everyone we can from the active zone. and establish screening protocols to ensure we don't accidentally evacuate infected individuals. Then we wait for the infection to exhaust its fuel supply. Necromorphs are aggressive and consume resources rapidly. If we can deny them new biomass, if we can prevent the infection from spreading, eventually the outbreak should stabilize. But that means accepting the loss of everyone still trapped inside the zone.
You're talking about abandoning potentially hundreds of thousands of people who are still alive in Manhattan?
I'm talking about saving the millions of people in surrounding areas. This is triage on a scale we've never faced before. We can't save everyone in the active zone. The resources don't exist. The time doesn't exist. But we might be able to save everyone else if we act decisively right now. I understand how that sounds. I understand the moral weight of that decision. But if this infection breaks containment, if it reaches New Jersey or the Bronx or Queens, we lose our ability to control it. We're talking about the entire eastern seaboard, then the country, then globally. The marker signal is already detectable in surrounding boroughs. People reporting the same auditory hallucinations, the same cellular symptoms. We're seeing isolated cases of tissue necrosis in people who were never inside the quarantine zone. The frequency is spreading slower than the necromorphs themselves, but it's expanding. Every hour we delay establishing absolute containment is an hour where more people outside Manhattan are being exposed. More people whose cells are listening to that signal and preparing to transform.
I need to interrupt. Something's happening at the perimeter. Multiple people are now approaching the checkpoint from outside the quarantine zone. They're not necromorphs. They're people. Civilians. A large group of them walking towards the checkpoint. It looks as if they're walking in a formation. They're calm, they're in step. They look like they're heading to a ceremony. Soldiers are ordering them to stop, but no one's listening. I can hear something. It's them singing. It's the Unity Accord. They're wearing the same ceremonial robes that they wore at the Unveiling. There has to be dozens of them, maybe even hundreds. And they're just walking into the quarantine zone. Soldiers are physically trying to stop them, but there's just too many of them. They're starting to break through the line, wanting to head to Times Square, wanting to head to the marker. I think I can make out what they're singing. They're singing about convergence and about becoming whole. My God, these people want to be infected. They're volunteering for this. The commander is ordering his troops to let them through. He said he is not ordering to shoot civilians for wanting to enter the zone. They're just watching them walk past. This column of people in robes, singing about transformation and unity, all while marching towards certain death. Some of them are even carrying small children. What looks like whole families walking hand in hand in the quarantine zone. The soldiers look like they want to stop these people, but what can you do? You can't save people who don't want to be saved. They're disappearing into the zone now. The singing growing fainter and fainter. The military is reinforcing the perimeter behind them, but the looks on these soldiers' faces say it all. They just watch hundreds of people essentially commit suicide, voluntarily transforming themselves into more of these necromorphs. How do you process that? Isaac? Dr. Mercer? How do you maintain containment when people are actively choosing to break it from the outside?
Dr. Mercer, does this change your assessment? If the Unity Accord members are deliberately entering the infection zone to be converted, doesn't that accelerate the very exponential growth you're trying to prevent?
It absolutely does. Every willing victim is biomass that the marker doesn't have to hunt for. It's being delivered directly to the conversion process. This is exactly what the Unity Accord planned. They're feeding the outbreak, providing a steady supply of human material to ensure it reaches critical mass. That's why they chose a major city, maximum population density, and a built-in delivery system of true believers ready to offer themselves willingly. We need to start treating the Unity Accord as a hostile force actively working against containment efforts. Anyone attempting to enter the infection zone should be detained. I know how that sounds. I know the civil liberties implications, but we're past the point where we can afford to respect individual choice, when that choice enables a biological catastrophe. Freedom of religion stops mattering when extinction is on the table. This is about species survival.
Listen, the singing just stopped. It just stopped all at once, as if someone cut off the audio. The silence is, oh my God, I hear screaming. I can hear the beating of the wings of the infectors. The Unity members never made it to the marker. The Necromorphs got to them first. But maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe it doesn't matter if they reach the marker or not. Maybe the point is just to add bodies to the count, more material for the Convergence. I can see movement in the ruins where they were last seen. Shapes moving in the buildings. Now there's even more Necromorphs in that area than before. Whatever happened in there, it happened fast. All of those people are gone, now a part of the swarm. The military is preparing for a renewed assault. They know what's coming. They know what they're in for. They just created several hundred new enemies. And now those enemies know exactly where the perimeter is because they just walked right through it.
We're going to continue our coverage of the Manhattan crisis. The Department of Defense has announced a press conference scheduled for this afternoon to address military strategy and evacuation procedures. We're also expecting an official statement from the Unity Accord leadership regarding their members' actions today. Nicole Clark will remain at the forward position to document any developments. Dr. Mercer, thank you for your assessment. We'll stay with this story as it unfolds.
Where are you? I've been trying to reach you. Can you hear me? I need you to hear me. Please respond.
All right, folks, we're going live, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening in Manhattan right now because the mainstream media won't. They're feeding you sanitized reports about biological hazards and containment zones, but they're not telling you the truth. They're not telling you that this was planned, that every single piece of this nightmare was engineered by your own government, working hand in hand with a death cult that's been operating in the open for 10 years. Let me lay this out for you, because the dots are so easy to connect. It's insulting that they think we can't see the pattern. 10 years ago, they find this thing on Mars, this alien artifact buried under the surface, and what do? Do they tell humanity we just made first contact with evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence? No. They classify it, lock it down, create an entire infrastructure of secrecy around it. Why? because they already knew what it was. They already understood what it could do. Then this Unity Accord pops up out of nowhere. A fringe group suddenly becomes one of the most influential organizations on the planet in under a decade. How does that happen? Because the same intelligence agencies that classified the Mars research built it. Top down, designed to look grassroots. They needed a public-facing organization to do what the government couldn't be seen doing directly. And don't even get me started on the replica itself. You're telling me that a civilian organization managed to construct an exact copy of an alien artifact using classified research data? They built a 20-story monument in the middle of Manhattan, and somehow nobody asked questions. That's cooperation, plain and simple. That's the government stepping aside and letting it happen because they wanted it to happen. Think about the timing. They unveiled this thing on the 10th anniversary of the Mars discovery, maximum media coverage, maximum public attention, 2 million people packed into Times Square. Why? Why expose that many civilians to an untested replica of an alien artifact? Because they needed bodies. They needed biomass. This whole thing is a depopulation agenda wrapped in a religious movement. Look at what this thing does. It kills people, and then it brings them back as weapons, as biological soldiers that build more of themselves from whatever human material they can find. That's a weapon system, engineered for exactly this. An alien weapon system that was sitting on Mars waiting to be found. And our brilliant government decided to activate it on Earth in one of the most densely populated cities on the planet. And the Unity Accord members walking into the infection zone, that's the final phase of the operation. They're flooding the experiment with willing participants to accelerate the process, to push it to critical mass faster than it would reach naturally. They want to see what happens next. They want to observe the endpoint. This convergence they keep talking about, there's one thing they didn't plan on. This thing spreads. The marker signal isn't contained by quarantine barriers. It's a frequency. It propagates through the air like radiation. Everyone in New York has been exposed by now. Everyone in the surrounding states is being exposed as we speak. This experiment they thought they could control is already beyond containment. I'm telling you right now, mark my words, they're gonna try to clean up their mess the only way they know how, with overwhelming force. They're gonna nuke Manhattan, vaporize that entire island and everyone on it, and they're gonna call it a necessary sacrifice, but it won't work. You can't nuke a frequency. You can't bomb an idea. That signal is already out there. So, what do? How do we fight back against something that's already won? First, we stop trusting the official story. Everything they tell you from this point forward is going to be a lie designed to keep you calm. Second, we start preparing for what comes next. This outbreak isn't contained. It's going to reach your city eventually. And when it does, you need to be ready. Third, and this is the most important part, we hold them accountable. We document everything. We save every broadcast, every official statement, every piece of evidence that proves they knew what was going to happen. Because when this is over, if any of us survive, we're going to need that evidence to prosecute the people responsible. I know some of you are thinking I'm exaggerating, that I'm connecting dots that aren't really there. But ask yourself this, why did they build that replica in the first place? Why place it in the most densely populated area they could find? And why is the Unity Accord still operating freely while their members voluntarily walk into the infection zone? The answer is simple, because this is exactly what they wanted to happen. This is the outcome they were aiming for from the beginning. They're killing us all and calling it evolution. Don't let them. Don't forget what really happened here. When you see the official memorials and the solemn speeches, remember this. Manhattan fell because human beings in positions of power decided to activate a weapon they knew would kill millions. Stay alert, stay informed, and whatever you do, don't trust the official narrative. This has been your warning. Make of it what you will.
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Mandatory evacuation order is now in effect for all residents of Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. A biological hazard has been confirmed in the New York City metropolitan area. All residents must evacuate immediately, using designated routes. Evacuation routes are as follows. Manhattan residents should proceed to the George Washington Bridge, Lincoln Tunnel, or Brooklyn Bridge. All other bridges and tunnels are under military control. Do not attempt to use unauthorized routes. Bring only essential items: food, water, medication, and identification documents. Do not bring pets. Do not bring large luggage. Travel on foot if possible. Vehicle traffic is severely congested. All evacuees will be subject to medical screening. Anyone displaying the following symptoms will be quarantined: severe headaches, unexplained nosebleeds, auditory hallucinations, violent behavior, cellular degradation visible on skin. Do not approach anyone displaying aggressive behavior. Do not attempt to help injured individuals within the quarantine zone. Report all sightings of hostile entities to military personnel immediately. Shelter in place is not advised. All residents must evacuate. This is a mandatory order. Failure to comply may result in being trapped within the expanding quarantine zone. This message will repeat. This is the emergency alert system. Evacuate immediately.
Two weeks. 14 days since the unveiling. The quarantine zone had expanded to cover most of Manhattan. Military casualties were in the thousands. Civilian deaths were impossible to count anymore. The bodies just disappeared into the conversion process, consumed by the swarm, and reformed into new weapons for the Marker's army. But the real failure, the total breakdown of containment, that came when the heavy Necromorphs reached the perimeter, when something massive enough to ignore small arms fire decided to want it off the island. The documents I've recovered show the Unity Accord built the replica specifically to trigger this. They wanted spread. They wanted the infection to break free and reach other population centers. Every strategic decision they made, from the location in Times Square to the timing of the unveiling, was calculated to maximize initial exposure and ensure the outbreak would overwhelm any containment attempt. They even provided classified intelligence to their members inside the military. Weaknesses in the perimeter, optimal routes for Necromorph breakthrough. They were sabotaging the defense from within. The Marker signal had spread miles beyond Times Square by this point. You could measure it in the surrounding boroughs. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. A low-frequency hum that caused cellular breakdown. People living in apartments miles from the infection zone were developing symptoms. Headaches that wouldn't stop. Nosebleeds that came without warning. Strange compulsions to walk toward Manhattan, to get closer to the source. The signal was calling to them, preparing their cells for eventual transformation, turning them into future soldiers before they even realized they were infected. I was there when the breach happened, recording from a building 3 blocks outside the perimeter. Someone had to document the moment when humanity's last defensive line in Manhattan collapsed. The song came first, a rhythmic pounding like footsteps, but deeper. Each impact shook the ground, rattled windows in their frames. Then we saw it, something that used to be human, but had been rebuilt into a siege weapon. 10 feet of armored biomass moving with terrible purpose toward the concrete barriers that were supposed to keep it contained. The soldiers opened fire. Everything they had. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore.
This is Isaac Brennan broadcasting from our backup facility in New Jersey. Our primary studio in Manhattan was evacuated 6 days ago as the quarantine zone expanded. We're now 2 weeks into the outbreak with no signs of containment success. Nicole Clark has been documenting one of these breach events. Nicole, you're at the military command post monitoring drone footage. What's your status?
Isaac, I'm at forward command about 4 blocks from what used to be the eastern perimeter. The military has established an observation post here with live drone feeds monitoring the breach zone. I watched the footage on multiple computer monitor screens. The breach happened just after dawn. Drone cameras captured something massive coming through the barricade. It looked like a brute with the armor plating, but this one was much bigger, at least 10 feet tall if not taller. On thermal feed, I could see it being hit by small caliber bullets and not taking any damage. Military personnel watched the squad empty all their magazines into it, and it didn't even flinch or slow down. On the main monitor, I watched it reach the concrete barriers. It didn't even try to go around them. Just picked one up with both hands, a multi-ton concrete block, and this thing just picked it up and threw it 30 feet. The barrier landed on a group of soldiers. The command post went quiet after witnessing that. And the worst part was, it wasn't alone. Behind it, multiple drone feeds confirmed that there were dozens of slashers moving fast through the breach. They were spread out in a way that tactical officers say are deliberate patterns. Some are moving towards residential buildings, others are moving to subway entrances. Infrared shows heat signatures disappearing inside the structures, then nothing for a few minutes, and then more heat signatures coming out than went in.
Nicole, how many civilians are still trapped in the breach zone?
Thousands, Isaac. Overhead reconnaissance shows entire neighborhoods still fully populated. The orders to evacuate came too late, and now these civilians are trapped between an expanding quarantine zone and a defensive perimeter that just keeps moving further and further away. The military is trying to extract people when they can, but their primary objective here is containment. I'm switching to a different drone camera feed now. Looks like this one is monitoring a subway entrance from where some of the slashers went onto a platform. Looks like infrared is picking up movement from below. Looks like multiple contacts, but the movement pattern is different somehow. Something's coming up the platform level. Soldiers are at the entrance. They're raising their weapons. I can see something emerging, but those are new. Those aren't slashers. They're low to the ground like a bug or a spider. Thermal imaging shows their legs as heavily muscled, and they looked coiled even on display. It looks like oh my god, they just launched themselves into the air. Drones tracked them at least going 20 feet, straight up from standing. Aerial footage captured them landing on buildings, and they're bounding from surface to surface. One just landed behind a military position. Ground camera captured the creature. Its legs are grotesquely oversized compared to its body. It looks like it's moving streets within a single bound. The engagement lasts 30 seconds before the position was overrun.
We're joined now by Dr. Benjamin Hammond of the Unity Accord. Dr. Hammond, the military breach we're witnessing was enabled by intelligence leaks from within the defense forces. Is this true?
Isaac, I'm not going to insult you by denying it. Yes, the Unity Accord has members throughout the military and government infrastructure. The replica marker was always a trigger. Everything we've done was calculated to achieve this specific outcome. Containment was never going to work because we never intended it to work.
You're admitting to deliberately sabotaging military operations, to enabling the deaths of thousands of soldiers and civilians?
I'm acknowledging that we're serving a higher purpose than individual human survival. The marker represents something beyond human understanding. These deaths are necessary stages in the convergence process. Every loss contributes to the eventual unity. Every transformation adds biomass to the collective that will emerge when this completes. The military can't win this fight. They're fighting the wrong battle. The marker signal has already made preservation impossible. Everyone exposed to the frequency is being prepared at the cellular level. When the time comes, they'll all transform.
Guys, I need to interrupt. There's new movement on the primary drone. Looks like something much, much larger is coming through the breach now. Looks like seismic sensors started registering what looked like small tremors, but now we can see what's going on. The drone camera operator is repositioning for better angle. I can see the main screen now, and oh my god, this thing must be 20 feet tall. Infrared is showing massive heat signature. Looks like it has 3 large legs and multiple appendages. Looks like they're counting 6. There seems to be some kind of opening in the center of its torso. Multiple drones are tracking it, and it's moving towards the defensive perimeter. Soldiers are firing all the heavy weapons, all the grenades, rocket launchers, heavy missiles. Footage is showing impacts to the creature. We're hitting it. Chunks of flesh are being blown off, but is it? No. Thermal imaging is showing that the wounds are closing on their own, but that's impossible. That would mean that it can regenerate tissue and heal itself. Tactical officers are saying that from the footage, regeneration is about 30 seconds for major damage. The ground cameras are capturing. It just picked up that armored car like it was a toy. Can we see where it's gonna hit? It just hit that apartment building. The impact from the car just caused an entire building to collapse. There were heat signatures in that building, and now they're gone. Multiple camera feeds are showing the new defensive perimeter being overrun. It looks like drone footage is showing soldiers attempting to fall back, but those necromorphs are emerging from everywhere. All right, looks like the breach zone is expanding. Military can't hold back. We're being evacuated. Command has just ordered all remaining troops to fall back. If you are hearing this and you are anywhere inside New York City, you get out, and you get out now. You do not wait. Bridges are still open for not much longer. Just go.
Nicole, evacuate immediately. Dr. Hammond, what you've confirmed will be forwarded to federal authorities.
Forward them to whoever you like. Isaac. By the time any prosecution could be organized, there won't be a legal system left. The replica in Times Square is still broadcasting. And it's not the only one. The Unity Accord built multiple replicas. They're all activating now. Synchronize. New York was just the first. Other cities are beginning their own transformations. That's what the marker was designed to do. Finding worlds with complex biological life, offering them the path to convergence. Earth is just the latest world to receive that gift. We're witnessing the birth of a new brother moon, when all biological matter merges into a unified awareness that encompasses everything that once lived separately.
We're ending this interview. Nicole Clark, status report.
Isaac, we've evacuated the command post. The officers have packed up all the tactical equipment. Everyone is falling back to secondary locations. Drone feeds are now being monitored by mobile units. Traffic is completely gridlocked in all directions. I can see people going wrong ways on the one-way streets just to get out of here. Aerial recon teams show thousands of people trying to make their way to the bridges, but if we can't make it to a bridge, we're trapped.
This is Isaac Brennan. We're going to continue coverage of the Manhattan crisis as information becomes available. The Department of Defense has issued a statement advising all civilians in the New York metropolitan area to evacuate immediately. Multiple bridges are still open under military supervision. Don't attempt to enter Manhattan under any circumstances. Stay safe.
Something's happening to me. I can feel it. It's not bad, though. It's actually beautiful. You'd understand if you could see it.
All right, we're live. So I've got someone here today who actually made it out of the quarantine zone. This guy was inside Manhattan when everything went down. He saw these things up close, saw what they do, saw how fast this whole situation fell apart. And man, The stories he's telling me are absolutely insane. Like, I've been following this on the news, but hearing it from someone who was actually there, it's a completely different level. So, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being willing to talk about this.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this. I wasn't sure I could talk about what I saw without, losing it. But people need to hear this. The news isn't showing you the real picture. They're sanitizing it, giving you statistics and official statements, but not telling you what it's actually like on the ground when those things are hunting you.
So, let's start from the beginning. You were in Manhattan when the marker was unveiled. You were at the ceremony.
I was there, not right up close. I was probably 3 blocks away, but close enough to see it when they pulled the covering off. This massive red structure, 20 stories tall, glowing. And I know that sounds weird, but it really was glowing, like it had light coming from inside it. Everyone around me started taking photos and videos. Some people were crying. It felt like, I don't know, like a religious moment or something, like we were witnessing something deep.
Did you feel anything strange? People have been reporting hearing sounds from the marker, feeling sensations.
Yeah, I felt it. Not right away, but maybe an hour after the unveiling. Started as a headache, just this pressure behind my eyes. Then I noticed this. I guess you'd call it a vibration in my chest. Like when you're standing next to a really loud speaker and you can feel the bass in your rib cage. But there was no music, no external sound. It was coming from the marker itself. Most people didn't seem to notice. Or maybe they didn't want to acknowledge it. But I could feel it. This low-frequency hum that made my teeth ache.
That's wild. So, what happened next? When did things start going wrong?
I went home that night. Took the subway back to my apartment in the East Village. Felt terrible. The headache was getting worse. I took something for it and tried to sleep. But I kept hearing this sound. Like singing almost. Coming from nowhere. Like it was inside my head. I thought maybe I was coming down with something. Figured I'd feel better in the morning. But when I woke up, the news was reporting incidents. People attacking each other near Times Square. Deaths at hospitals. The official story was crowd stress and possible contamination. But it didn't feel right. Then the quarantine happened. They sealed off blocks around Times Square. Said there was a biological hazard. Military vehicles everywhere. Helicopters. I watched it from my window. Soldiers setting up barricades. People trying to leave the city and being turned back. It escalated so fast. Within 2 days, the quarantine zone was expanding toward my neighborhood. That's when I realized I needed to get out. But by then, getting out wasn't simple anymore.
What do you mean? They were stopping evacuations?
They were screening everyone, looking for symptoms. Anyone with headaches or nosebleeds or violent behavior, they weren't letting them through. They'd separate you from your family and take you to a containment tent. I saw soldiers literally pulling children away from parents because the parents showed symptoms. People were begging, fighting. It didn't matter. If you showed any signs of infection, you weren't leaving. And the problem was almost everyone who'd been at the ceremony was showing some symptoms. That marker did something to us, to our bodies. We were all affected, even if we didn't realize it yet.
So, how did you get out?
I lied. Told them I hadn't been at the ceremony. Said I'd been out of the city and just got back. They asked if I had any symptoms. I said no, even though my head was pounding and I'd had a nosebleed that morning. They did a quick physical check. Temperature, pulse, basic stuff. I passed. They let me through. But the guilt of that, knowing I might have been infected, and I lied to get past the screening, that's been eating at me. What if I was carrying it? What if I spread it to other people outside the zone?
Man, that's heavy. But you did what you had to do to survive. Anyone would have done the same thing.
Maybe. But before I got out, before I reached the checkpoint, I saw them. The Necromorphs. That's what people are calling them now. I saw what they really looked like up close. Right in front of me. Close enough to smell them.
What do they smell like?
Death. Rotting meat.
but also something else. Something chemical, like formaldehyde mixed with burnt plastic. It's a smell you can't forget once you've experienced it. Makes you want to vomit. Makes your body instinctively recoil, for some primitive part of your brain recognizes it as danger, as something completely against the natural order.
Where did you encounter them? How close did you get?
I was trying to reach an evacuation point, moving through side streets to avoid the main roads where the military was engaged. I thought I could slip past the fighting and get to a bridge. But I turned a corner and there it was. This thing that used to be a person. I could tell it had been human once because it still wore scraps of clothing. A business suit, like it had been an office worker before. But the body was completely transformed. The arms were too long, extended and ending in these blade things. Bone protrusions that had broken through the skin and grown into weapons. The chest was split open. Ribs spread wide like wings. And the face, God, the face was the worst part. It still had human features. Eyes, nose, mouth, but the arrangement was off. Like someone had taken a face and stretched it, distorted it. The eyes were empty. There was something behind them, but it wasn't human anymore. Wasn't capable of human thought or emotion. It was just hunger and purpose. This thing looked at me, and I knew it was evaluating me, deciding whether to attack or move on to easier prey. I froze, completely froze. Every survival instinct told me to run, but my body wouldn't move. I just stood there watching it, and what I still can't explain, it didn't attack. It looked at me for maybe 5 seconds. Then it turned and ran away from me, down an alley toward sounds of fighting, toward where the military was engaging other necromorphs, like it had more important targets than a single frozen civilian. That's when I realized these things aren't mindless. They're smart. They make tactical decisions. They prioritize threats.
That's so much worse than if they were just rabid animals. That's terrifying. So, these things, these necromorphs, they're actually intelligent.
I don't know if intelligent is the right word, but they're not stupid. They hunt in patterns. They use the environment. I watched from a distance as a group of them coordinated an attack on a military position. The smaller, fast ones drew fire and scattered. While the soldiers were tracking those targets, a bigger one came through a building wall. Just smashed through brick and concrete like it wasn't there. Hit the position from an angle the soldiers weren't defending. It was a flanking maneuver straight out of military tactics. How does a reanimated corpse know to flank an enemy position?
Maybe they retain some knowledge from before, from when they were alive.
Maybe. Or maybe the marker is controlling them, giving them instructions. People who study this, the scientists still trying to understand it. They think the marker emits a signal that reanimates dead tissue and also provides a kind of collective intelligence. Like all the necromorphs are connected, sharing information, operating as a hive mind rather than separate creatures. That would explain the coordination, the tactical awareness. They're all part of one larger organism that's using them as extensions of itself.
That's such a crazy concept. So the marker is broadcasting instructions to all of them at once?
Something like that. The signal does more than direct attacks. It's also affecting living people, changing them even before they die. I felt it, that humming in my chest. The headaches. I think my cells were being altered, prepared for transformation. If I'd stayed in the zone longer, if I'd been exposed to the signal for another few days or weeks, I might have transformed while still alive, just fallen over and started changing. Bones breaking and reforming, flesh tearing and reshaping, becoming one of those things without even dying first.
Have you had any symptoms since leaving the city?
The headache stopped after about 3 days. The nosebleed stopped. I feel normal now, but I don't know if that means I'm clean or if the damage is already done. Maybe my cells are still altered. Maybe I'm just in a dormant phase. There's no way to know. The medical screening they did at the evacuation point was basic. Temperature and visible symptoms. They didn't do blood work, didn't scan for cellular changes. They couldn't. They were processing thousands of people per hour. There wasn't time for thorough examinations. So, for all I know, I could still be carrying whatever the marker did to me.
That's got to be weighing on you, the uncertainty of whether you're infected.
Every day. Every time I get a headache or feel off. I wonder if this is it. If this is when the transformation starts. I've made plans for what I'll do if it happens. Places I'll go where I can't hurt anyone. Ways to end it before I become one of those things. Because I've seen what they do. I've seen the damage they cause. And I'd rather die as myself than become a weapon for that marker.
Let's talk about the Unity Accord for a minute. These are the people who built the replica marker. What's your take on them?
They're either completely insane, or they're part of something we don't understand yet. I saw them in the city before the breach. Groups of them in their robes walking toward the infection zone. Not running away like everyone else. Walking toward it, singing, smiling like they were going to a celebration instead of certain death. Some of them had children with them, families. They were taking their kids into the infection zone on purpose, offering them to those things. And the worst part is they seemed peaceful about it, happy even, not coerced or brainwashed in an obvious way. They genuinely believed they were doing the right thing, believed transformation was salvation, that becoming part of the collective consciousness was better than individual existence. How do you fight that? How do you save people who don't want to be saved, who think you're the one who's misguided for trying to preserve your humanity?
Do you think they know something we don't? Like, is there any possibility they're right? That this convergence thing they talk about is actually real?
I don't know. And that's what keeps me up at night. What if they're right? What if the marker really is offering something beyond death? Some form of existence beyond what we can imagine? But then I remember what I saw. The screaming, the blood, the violence, the way those things tear people apart without hesitation. If that's the path to enlightenment, if that's what unity looks like, I want no part of it. I'd rather die as myself than live as part of that collective nightmare. But the worst is yet to come. The Unity Accord built multiple replicas, placed in cities around the world. London, Tokyo, other major population centers. They're all activating, all starting their own outbreaks simultaneously. This isn't just a New York problem. This is global. And if it spreads at the same rate it spread in Manhattan, if the same exponential growth happens in every city with a replica marker, we're looking at civilizational collapse within months, maybe weeks.
That's apocalyptic. You really think it's that bad?
I think it's worse. I think the people trying to contain this don't understand what they're up against. They're treating it like a disease outbreak, quarantine zones and military perimeters. But the marker isn't a pathogen. It's something else. Something that operates on principles we don't have frameworks for understanding. It converts. It transforms biological matter into something new. And once that transformation reaches a certain threshold, once there's enough converted biomass, something else happens. Something the Unity Accord calls convergence. I don't fully understand what that means. But from what I've heard, from what they believe, convergence is when all the individual necromorphs merge together, combine into a single massive organism with unified consciousness. They call it a brother moon, an entity formed from an entire planet's worth of biological material. That's the endpoint. That's what the marker is building toward. Creating enough necromorphs that they can merge into something planet-sized.
That sounds like science fiction.
2 weeks ago, reanimated corpses with blade arms sounded like science fiction. Now they're hunting people in the streets of New York. I'm not saying I believe everything the Unity Accord claims, but I saw that marker. I felt what it did to my body. I watched it transform people into things that shouldn't exist. So when they say it's building toward something bigger, when they say this is just the beginning, I don't dismiss it as fantasy. I think we're witnessing something that has happened before on other worlds, in other star systems. And we're seeing it happen here because we were stupid enough to bring that technology to Earth and activate it in the middle of a population center.
So, what do you think happens next? Where does this go?
I think Manhattan falls completely. The military can't hold it. They're already evacuating the outer boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. They're trying to establish new perimeters in New Jersey and Connecticut. But the infection is spreading faster than they can evacuate people. And the marker signal is expanding. You can measure it now in neighboring states. People hundreds of miles away are starting to report symptoms. Headaches, nosebleeds, hearing that humming sound. Their cells are being prepared for transformation, even though they're nowhere near the active infection zone. And that's just New York. The same thing is starting in other cities, other countries, each one with its own replica marker, broadcasting its own signal, each one converting its local population into necromorphs. Within a month, maybe 2, every major city on Earth will be experiencing what Manhattan is experiencing now. The governments will try to maintain order, try to evacuate and contain, but the mathematics don't work. You can't evacuate billions of people. You can't contain a signal that propagates through the air. All you can do is watch as civilization collapses city by city. And when it's done, when there are no more uninfected humans left, when everything living has been converted into biomass, that's when convergence happens. The marker was designed to create that. And it's been doing this across the galaxy for millions of years. Earth is just the latest world to fall into the pattern.
Man, that's heavy. That's really heavy. I don't even know what to say to that.
Neither do I. I'm just telling you what I saw, what I learned, what I believe is coming based on everything I witnessed in Manhattan. I could be wrong. The military might find a way to stop this, or scientists might discover a weakness we can use. But I've seen how fast these things adapt, how smart they are, how the infection spreads exponentially. And I don't think we have the tools or the time to stop it. I think we're watching the end of human civilization in real time. But all we can do is document it, record what's happening, so that if anyone or anything finds Earth after this is over, they'll know what happened to us. They'll know we didn't go quietly, that we fought, that we tried, even if we failed.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk more about what you think people can do to prepare, how they can protect themselves if this comes to their city. But man, this has been intense. Really appreciate you sharing your story. We'll be right back.
We're interrupting regular programming. The president is addressing the nation for the second time since the Manhattan crisis began. We go live now to the White House.
My fellow Americans, look, I'm not going to stand here and sugarcoat this thing. We're facing a situation that frankly I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Nothing in any briefing book ever prepared us for what we're facing. But this is something else entirely. You know, when I was a young senator, we used to watch these science fiction movies, The Blob, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Night of the Living Dead, classic films, terrific films. And we'd sit there eating popcorn thinking, thank God, this could never happen in real life. Well, guess what? Here we are. And let me tell you something. Those movies didn't prepare us for this. Not even close. Because in the movies, there's always some hero who figures it out, some scientist or soldier or regular person who saves the day. But this isn't Hollywood. This is real life. And real life doesn't have a script. Now, I want to be straight with you. The situation in Manhattan and across the Eastern Seaboard, it's not under control. We have the best military in the world, bar none. Our soldiers are out there right now establishing defensive perimeters, evacuating civilians, doing everything humanly possible to contain this outbreak. And they're doing a heck of a job, a really tremendous job. I'm proud of them. We all should be proud of them. But I'm not going to lie to you, this is tough. This is really, really tough. These creatures, these necromorphs, as they're calling them, they're not like anything we've dealt with before. They don't surrender. They don't negotiate. Bullets don't even put them down properly. You got to cut them apart, dismember them. It's like that movie. What was it called? The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Fantastic movie. Kurt Russell at his finest. But in that movie, you could burn the thing. You could destroy it with fire. These things, not so much. Fire just makes them mad. And look, I've been briefed by the experts. the scientists, the military commanders. They tell me we're doing everything we can, everything within our power. But between you and me, I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway because you deserve the truth. They're scared. These are professionals, career military, top scientists. And they're scared because this thing, this marker that the Unity Accord built, it's doing things that don't make sense, things that violate the laws of physics, things that frankly shouldn't be possible. Now, some of you are asking how this happened, how we let a religious cult build a giant alien artifact replica in the middle of Times Square. Fair question. The answer is, well, the answer is complicated. There were failures at multiple levels. Regulatory failures, intelligence failures, failures of imagination, if I'm being honest. We didn't think anyone would be crazy enough to actually do this. We thought it was just talk, just religious rhetoric. We didn't take the threat seriously enough. And that's on me. That's on my administration. And I take full responsibility for that failure. But understand this, we're not giving up. We're not surrendering. This is America. We don't quit when things get tough. We fought World War II. We put a man on the moon. We've overcome challenges that seemed impossible. And we're going to overcome this too, somehow, some way. We're going to figure this out because that's what Americans do. We solve problems and we keep going until they're solved. Now, I've been told we have about 2 million people still trapped in Manhattan. 2 million souls counting on us to rescue them, to get them out safely. And we're working on that. We're working on that around the clock. But I need to be honest with you. The evacuation isn't going as quickly as we'd like. The infection is spreading faster than we anticipated. The defensive perimeters keep collapsing. We're having to fall back, regroup, establish new lines further from the city. And every time we do that, more people get left behind. More people get trapped in the infection zone. And that breaks my heart. It really does. You know, there's this movie, The Poseidon Adventure, old movie from the 70s. Gene Hackman, fantastic film. In that movie, there's a scene where they have to decide who to save, who to leave behind. And it's gut-wrenching, absolutely gut-wrenching. Well, we're living that movie now. We're having to make those impossible choices. Who gets evacuated first? Who has to wait? Who might not make it out at all? And it's tearing us apart. It's tearing me apart because every single one of those people is an American. Every single one of them deserves to be rescued. But we only have so many resources, so much time, so much everything. I want to address the Unity Accord directly. If you're watching this, and I know you are, you need to understand what you've done. You've killed thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands by now. You've destroyed one of our greatest cities. You've unleashed something that might destroy our entire civilization. And for what? For some twisted vision of something beyond death. For some belief that merging consciousnesses is better than individual existence. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And you'll be held accountable. Every single member of your organization, every person who helped build those replica markers, every person who knew this was going to happen and didn't stop it, you'll face justice. That's a promise. Now, I've also been informed that there are replica markers in other cities, other countries, all set to activate simultaneously. And folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. That terrifies me. If what happened in New York happens in London and Tokyo and Moscow and everywhere else, we're looking at a global catastrophe. We're looking at the potential end of human civilization. And this isn't hyperbole. It's the honest assessment from our best experts. So, listen, if you live in a major city, especially if there are reports of Unity Accord activity in your area, I need you to evacuate. Get out now. Don't wait for official orders. Don't wait for permission. Just go. Take your families, your pets, whatever you can carry in one trip and leave. I know that's asking a lot. I know some of you have homes you've lived in for generations, businesses you've built, lives you've established, but none of that matters if you're dead. None of that matters if you're transformed into one of those things. And look, I've seen the footage. I've seen what these necromorphs do to people. It's like something out of a horror movie, worse than a horror movie. It's like Alien and The Thing and Night of the Living Dead all mixed together. It's nightmare fuel, pure nightmare fuel. And I don't want that happening to any more Americans. I don't want that happening to anyone anywhere. So please, please listen to me. Evacuate. Save yourselves. save your families, give us time to figure out how to stop this thing. Now, I want to talk about hope for a moment, because despite everything I've just said, despite the dire situation we're facing, I still have hope. I have hope because I've seen what Americans can do when we come together. The courage of our first responders running toward danger when everyone else is running away. The dedication of our scientists working 20-hour days trying to understand this infection. The compassion of ordinary citizens opening their homes to evacuees, sharing their resources, taking care of strangers like their family. That's America. That's who we are, and that gives me hope. I also want you to know that we're exploring every option, every possible solution, military options, scientific options, diplomatic options. We're even looking at some pretty extreme measures, things I can't discuss publicly for obvious reasons. But we're not sitting idle. We're not accepting defeat. We're fighting this thing with everything we have. And we're going to keep fighting until we win, or until there's nothing left to fight for. You know, there's another movie I keep thinking about, Independence Day. Great film, Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum. In that movie, humanity faces extinction from an alien invasion. And it looks hopeless. It looks like we're going to lose. But then someone figures out the alien weakness. They find a way to fight back. They upload a virus into the mothership. Classic scene, iconic scene. Humanity wins. We overcome impossible odds and we survive. That's the movie I keep thinking about. That's the movie I want us to be living in. Because if they could figure it out in the movie, maybe we can figure it out in real life. Maybe there's some weakness we haven't found yet, some vulnerability we can exploit, some way to shut down these markers and stop the infection before it's too late. I'm asking for your patience, your courage, and your faith. Because this is the fight of our lives, and it's a fight we can't afford to lose. Giving up isn't an option. Surrender isn't in our vocabulary. We determine our own fate, and our fate is survival. Our fate is continuing to exist as a species despite everything that's trying to destroy us. I want to close by saying this. To everyone who's lost someone in this outbreak, to everyone who's watched loved ones die or transform or disappear, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No words can express the depth of that loss. No policy can bring those people back. No military victory can undo what's been done. But I promise you this, their sacrifice will be remembered and honored for as long as this nation exists. And we'll make sure nothing like this ever happens again. That's my promise to you. That's my commitment as president. Stay safe, stay strong, and hold together. May God bless America. Thank you.
That was the president's second address on the Manhattan crisis. The quarantine zone continues to expand, and reports of replica activations in other cities remain unconfirmed at this hour. We'll continue our coverage as the situation develops.
One month since the unveiling. Manhattan was lost. Past tense. The military had retreated to defensive positions in New Jersey and Connecticut, holding lines to keep the infection from spreading beyond it. But the signal, that low-frequency pulse from the marker, it didn't respect geographical boundaries. It propagated through the air like radiation. People in Philadelphia were reporting symptoms. Boston, Washington. The cellular breakdown was spreading faster than the necromorphs themselves. I'd been documenting everything from the beginning, following the story as it unfolded, recording interviews and collecting evidence. But by week 4, I realized the traditional media infrastructure was collapsing. Networks were evacuating their facilities. Journalists were fleeing the eastern seaboard. The official narrative was fragmenting as the people responsible for maintaining it abandoned their posts. So I did what any documentary filmmaker would do. I stayed. I kept recording. Someone had to bear witness to what was happening. Someone had to document the truth, even if no one would be left alive to watch the final cut. The Unity Accords facility where they'd built the replica marker. That became my focus. If I could get inside, if I could see the marker up close and document what it was doing, Maybe I could understand the mechanism. Maybe I could find something that would help the few survivors who might escape this catastrophe. It was a long shot. Probably suicide. But what else was I going to do? Run? Hide? Wait for the infection to reach me wherever I went? At least this way, my death would serve a purpose. At least the footage would mean something. Nicole Clark had the same idea. She'd been covering the outbreak from the beginning. Watched it escalate from scattered incidents to full-scale warfare. She was one of the best field reporters I'd ever seen. Brave beyond reason. Committed to the truth even when that commitment put her in danger. She infiltrated the Unity Accord facility on day 28. I have her audio recordings. The last transmissions before whatever happened to her happened. I've listened to them dozens of times, trying to understand, trying to find meaning in the sounds, in the silence that followed. Her voice is still clear in my memory, professional, even in the face of horror. She deserved better than what she got.
This is Isaac Brennan broadcasting from an independent studio in Princeton. Our network facilities were evacuated last week as the infection spread into New Jersey. I'm maintaining this broadcast through pirate radio transmission. Official channels are failing, but journalism matters now more than ever. It's been 1 month since the Unity Accord unveiled their replica marker in Times Square. Manhattan is completely overrun. The military has abandoned any pretense of reclaiming the city, but containment is failing. The infection has breached multiple perimeters. Nicole Clark has been working with military intelligence to gather reconnaissance footage from inside the quarantine zone. 3 days ago, she informed me she was attempting to pilot a drone into the Unity Accords facility near Times Square. I advised against it, but Nicole was committed. Her transmission is coming in live now.
Isaac, I have established drone control. I'm piloting from a secure relay station about 10 miles outside the quarantine perimeter. The military loaned me a stealth recon unit. It took me 6 hours just to navigate through the ruins to reach the facility. Infrared is showing necromorphs everywhere, but their positions aren't random. They're concentrated around certain structures. The marker is definitely calling out to them. I can feel it even from here. I can feel the hum in my chest. It's affecting the drone systems too. I'm getting a lot of interference on all frequencies. The signal must be affecting technology as well as anything biological. The facility is massive on aerial view. Looks like it was built around the marker itself, at least 5 or 6 stories tall. I can see it through the windows on the visual feed. The red structure rising up from the building, it's glowing brighter than it was at the Unveiling. Thermal cameras picking up rhythmic pulses. I can measure each pulse wave on my sensors. All right, moment of truth. I'm going to enter the facility now. I'm navigating my way through the corridors now. The camera is showing bodies, Unity Accord members who came to be closer to their god. Some appear to be dead, some are still in the process of being transformed. The infrared shows their body temperatures be fluctuating, bones shifting under flesh on the high-def feed. They're not moving, though. They're lying there. It almost looks peaceful. I can hear something deeper inside. It sounds like chanting. I'm going to follow the sound to see what I can find. All right, going down this stairwell, the visual feed is showing that the walls are different down here. According to visual texture analysis, the walls appear to be compounded biological tissue, but that doesn't make any sense. How can walls be made up of organic matter? There also appear to be growth spreading across all the surfaces that pulse in time with the marker frequencies. All right, I'm approaching the center chamber now. These doors are huge. They look to be open slightly. Gonna see if I can squeeze through this gap and see where it... Whoa! This chamber is... There's no way this is the same building. The interior doesn't match the exterior. The space is much, much larger than it should be. Footage is showing the marker in the middle of the room, rising up multiple stories. I can see Unity Accord members surrounding it. Hundreds, maybe even thousands by my count. Thermal is detecting something on the walls. Heat signatures merge with the structure. Oh my god, people are fused to the walls and ceilings. Camera footage confirms that they're still alive. Wait, the chanting stopped now. It's silent. Looks like their heads are turning to look at me. Multiple heat signatures are moving towards the drone. Isaac, something's wrong. The drone feed is gone, like it got cut on this end. But what? Oh no. The perimeter sensors at the relay station show movement. Multiple contacts. They don't look military. Dozens of them. Necromorphs. I don't know how they track the signal, but they're here. They're at the fence line.
Nicole, get out of there. Get to your vehicle. Right now.
I can't leave the recordings. The drone footage is still uploading. If I unplug now, the world will never see what's inside the facility. The transformation chamber, the people inside the walls.
Forget the upload. Nicole, please, walk away from the equipment.
Something is hitting the south wall hard. The whole building is shit-caking. Concrete dust is falling from the ceiling. It won't be long now. I'm pushing the upload now, Isaac. Everything I have, you have got to finish this.
Nicole, talk to me. Where are you in the building?
Server room, basement level. The wall just gave in. I can see them in the hallway. Oh my god, they look like the things from my drone footage. The arms, the way their chest is open in the middle, but they're not running. They're walking. It's as if they know they have all the time in the world. As if they know I have nowhere else to go.
Nicole, stay on the line. Tell me where the exits are.
Upload's at 60%. Now 80. Isaac, you gotta...
Nicole, answer me! Nicole! We've lost contact with Nicole Clark's relay station. The last fragment of her upload came through about 10 seconds ago. After that, static. I'm going to stay on this broadcast. If you can hear me, Nicole, get back on the line. We're interrupting our coverage of the Manhattan crisis. The president is addressing the nation from a secure location. We go live now to the White House feed.
My fellow Americans, look, I'm not going to ease into this one. Tonight, I authorize the use of a nuclear weapon on American soil, on the Manhattan replica marker. The Joint Chiefs and I, we sat in the Situation Room for almost 6 hours, and there is no other option left on the table. The infection is breaking every containment line we put up. Conventional weapons do not work on this thing. You know, I keep thinking about Dr. Strangelove tonight. Kubrick film 1964. That one scared me when I was a young senator. Scared everyone who watched it. The whole idea that we would ever have to point one of these things at ourselves. And here I am, making that call. There's another film I keep going back to, The Day After. 1983 was a TV movie. But Reagan watched it in the White House, and it shook him, changed his thinking on these weapons. Half the country watched it the night it aired and couldn't sleep for a week. Tomorrow morning, we're going to find out if the people who made that movie got it right. But what one of these warheads does to a city. The strike happens at 0300 local time, 2 hours from now. Every living soul still inside the evacuation perimeter has been told. The military is doing everything it can to get them out before the bird flies. Folks, I have to be honest with you. Not everybody's going to make it out. That's on me. That's on this administration. I'll carry it the rest of my days, however many of those I've got left. If this works, we end this nightmare tonight. We send a message to that thing in Times Square and to whatever built it, that humanity does not go quietly, not without a fight, not without one hell of a fight. And if it doesn't work, well, we'll know that too. May God forgive us for what we have to do tonight. May God bless the people of New York, and may God bless the United States of America. Good night.
That was the president, confirming what's been rumored for the past 12 hours. A nuclear strike on the Manhattan marker is authorized for 3 a.m. local, 2 hours from now. We'll stay with this story.
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government and the Department of Defense. A nuclear strike has been authorized on the Manhattan exclusion zone. Detonation will occur at 0300 hours Eastern Standard Time. Estimated yield is 150 kilotons. All civilians within a 50-mile radius of Times Square must evacuate immediately. The blast and thermal radius extends through northern New Jersey, southern Connecticut, the outer boroughs of New York, and the lower Hudson Valley. Fallout patterns depend on prevailing wind direction. Probable fallout zones include eastern Pennsylvania, all of Long Island, and coastal New England. If you cannot evacuate, shelter in place. Move to the lowest level of any concrete or stone structure. Seal all doors and windows. Remain sheltered for a minimum of 72 hours. Do not attempt to view the detonation. Direct exposure to the flash will cause permanent blindness. Do not approach windows. Do not photograph the event. Military checkpoints are processing evacuees at all major highway intersections. Bring identification and minimal supplies. Do not bring infected persons. Do not approach the exclusion zone. This is not a drill. A nuclear weapon will detonate on American soil in approximately 2 hours. Repeat, this is not a drill. Evacuate immediately. This message will repeat until system failure.
This is Isaac Brennan broadcasting from the Princeton Pirate Station. The nuclear strike on Manhattan ran on schedule. 3 a.m. Eastern, 13 seconds past the hour. The B-2 made its run. Released the weapon over Times Square at 3 a.m. exactly. Then nothing happened. No flash, no shockwave, no mushroom cloud rising over Manhattan. No detonation visible from anywhere in the observation network. I'm reading from a satellite imagery report that just came in over the wire. Manhattan is intact. Whatever was left of the city before the strike is still there tonight. The streets, the buildings, the ruins from a month of fighting, all of it, unchanged. But I need to be careful with this next part because I am still trying to understand it myself. The marker is still standing. The replica marker, the Unity Accord built in Times Square. The one we just dropped a 150 kiloton warhead on. It is still there. Satellite imagery confirms it. Not damaged, not even scorched. The thermal imaging shows it brighter than it was before the strike, like it absorbed the energy, like we just fed it. There is no crater, no scorched earth, no debris field. The marker is exactly where it was last night, still pulsing, still broadcasting. The Pentagon has not made an official statement yet, but I have a source in the Joint Chiefs who told me a few minutes ago, and I'm quoting, "It ate the nuke. It ate the nuke." Ham radio operators in eastern Pennsylvania are sending in eyewitness accounts. Civilians who stayed up to watch from rooftops are reporting that they saw nothing, no flash, no fireball, no sound at all. Just the marker on the horizon, glowing red against the dark, brighter than it was an hour before. And now we have a second problem. The replica markers in other cities are activating in response. London first. The marker the British government has had under guard for the past 3 weeks turned on at 0400 their time. Witnesses on the ground report the same red glow we saw in Times Square. Tokyo activated 40 minutes after London. The Japanese had buried their replica under 300 feet of reinforced concrete. The concrete is cracking now. The marker is broadcasting through it like the shielding isn't there. Reports from Berlin, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Moscow, Sydney. Every Unity Accord cell on the planet had a replica somewhere. Every one of them is coming online tonight. The strike on Manhattan was not the end of this. It was the starting gun. The Manhattan marker felt the attack and it called to its siblings, and they answered. I'm also picking up Unity Accord shortwave broadcasts, hundreds of them across the country, across the world, all singing that same chant, make us whole. They sound happy, like they have been waiting for this exact moment. There is a part of me that wants to ask why we thought a nuclear strike would work. Dr. Hammond told us weeks ago, the marker is not a structure, it is a frequency. You cannot bomb a frequency. We tried anyway, because nothing else was on the table, because we had to try something, because the alternative was watching it spread without lifting a finger. Now, the marker is glowing brighter than it has since the unveiling, fed by whatever it just swallowed, and every other replica on the planet is lighting up like Christmas. I am going to be honest with you. I do not know what comes next. Our last best weapon was just absorbed without a scratch. Whatever this thing is, we do not have the tools to stop it. The president has not addressed the nation since the strike. The White House is silent, the Joint Chiefs are silent, State Department, Pentagon, all of them are silent. And we still have not heard from Nicole. Her relay station has been off the air since last night. I keep checking the upload server. The fragment she pushed through before the line dropped is sitting there. I will broadcast it when I find the right moment. I will keep broadcasting as long as the power holds. Whatever comes next, someone needs to be telling you about it. Stay with me.
This is the emergency alert system. This is not a test. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Mandatory evacuation orders are now in effect for the following areas: all of New York State, northern New Jersey, southern Connecticut, eastern Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia. All residents in these areas must evacuate immediately. The biological threat has spread beyond initial containment zones. Multiple outbreak sites confirmed in Boston, Providence, Newark, and Trenton. The infection is airborne within a 50-mile radius of each outbreak site. Evacuation centers have been established in Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Albany, and Harrisburg. Evacuees should proceed west or north. Do not travel south. Do not travel toward Washington, D.C. The capital has been evacuated. All evacuees will undergo mandatory medical screening. Screening includes visual examination, temperature check, and psychological evaluation. Anyone displaying symptoms of infection will not be permitted to leave the quarantine zone. Citizens are advised. The entities within the quarantine zones are extremely hostile. They are not human. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be saved. Do not attempt rescue operations. Do not approach the quarantine perimeter. Additional warnings. Reports of large-scale transformations are confirmed. Entire city blocks have been converted to organic matter. Buildings and infrastructure within the infection zone are unstable. Avoid all structures within 50 miles of Times Square. International updates. Similar outbreaks have been reported in London, Tokyo, Moscow, and Sydney. This is a global crisis. All international travel is suspended. All airports are closed. This message will repeat. Evacuate immediately. Travel west. Do not look back.
I see your faces today, and I know what you're feeling. I know because I'm feeling it too. That crushing weight of despair, that terrible question that keeps you awake at night asking where God is in all of this. Some of you have lost family members, friends, neighbors, and you're here in this sanctuary looking at me hoping I have answers. I wish I could tell you I had those answers. I wish I could stand here and explain exactly why God is permitting this suffering, but I don't have those explanations. What I do have is faith, the kind that holds on even when everything else is falling apart, the kind that says, I don't understand, but I still trust. There are people out there right now telling you this is judgment, that God sent this plague to punish humanity for our sins. I want to be absolutely clear about this. That's a lie. The God I serve doesn't punish his children with biological nightmares. What's happening right now is the result of human choice. Evil human choice made by people who thought they could control forces they didn't understand. And yes, God could stop it. So why doesn't he? I don't know. I wrestle with that question every single day. Does that mean God doesn't care? No. It means we're living in a broken world where evil has real power and real consequences. God gave us free will. That's a precious gift, but it's also terrifying because free will means we can choose evil. The Unity Accord chose this. They looked at an alien weapon designed for extinction and they chose to activate it. They chose to place it in a city full of innocent people. That was human evil operating with full knowledge and intent. And now we're living with the consequences. So, God is in the same place he has always been, walking with us through the suffering. God entered into human suffering through Christ. He knows what it means to watch loved ones die. Jesus experienced all of that on the cross, and he's experiencing it with us now. Every tear we cry, God is crying with us. He's not distant or indifferent. I know that's not the answer you want. You want me to promise that everything will be okay, but I can't promise you that. The situation is desperate. We might be witnessing the end of human civilization. That's the truth. But God's love does not end. Even if civilization ends, Jesus said that nothing can separate us from the love of God. Not death, not life, not the present, not the future, nothing. That includes this infection. We do what God's people have always done in times of crisis. Love each other fiercely, care for the vulnerable, share what we've got with those who have nothing. We maintain our humanity even when everything around us is becoming monstrous. We choose life and love and compassion even when death seems inevitable. Some of you are planning to leave, to evacuate to rural areas where you think you'll be safe. I understand that impulse, but I want to challenge you before you go. Don't let survival become your only value. If you're leaving, take people with you. Open your doors and your vehicles and your resources to others. Be the hands and feet of Christ, even in evacuation. And for those staying, you're going to be witnessing things that no one should have to witness. There will be days when you want to give up. Jesus himself asked for the cup of suffering to be taken from him. It's okay to want relief. It's okay to be human in your pain. But don't surrender to despair. Don't let this infection take your soul, even if it takes everything else. The Unity Accord believes transformation through death is salvation. That's a theology of death, dressed up in fancy clothes. We serve a God of life who valued individual relationships and personal connection. The collective consciousness they promise is annihilation. Don't believe that lie. Hold on to your humanity. Die as yourself if you must die, but don't voluntarily give up your soul. I'm going to pray now. God, we're scared. We're watching our world die and we don't know how to stop it. Some of us are angry with you. Some of us doubt you're even there, but we're still here, still gathering. So meet us in this darkness. Meet us with your presence. Give us strength to face what's coming, courage to remain human and hope. We desperately need hope. Protect those who are fleeing, sustain those who are staying. Comfort those who have lost loved ones. For all of us, give us peace, the peace that goes beyond understanding. We're yours, Lord, in life and in death. Hold us, keep us, don't let us go. Amen. Go from here today knowing you're loved, knowing you matter. Be the light that shines in darkness. Be the love that refuses to be extinguished. And remember, you're not alone. You have this community. You have a God who will never abandon you, even in the valley, even at the end. May his peace be with you all.
Six weeks. The infection had consumed the entire eastern seaboard. Every major city from Boston to Miami was experiencing outbreak clusters. The replica markers distributed by the Unity Accord were all active now, broadcasting their signals simultaneously across the globe. They tried to nuke it, and the marker just ate it like it was a midnight snack. The cellular breakdown was universal. Anyone living in or near a major population center was being exposed. Their bodies were being prepared for transformation, whether they realized it or not. The mathematics had become undeniable. Humanity was losing. Rapidly. Exponentially. We were being converted into biomass faster than we could evacuate or defend. I've been reviewing archive footage. Audio recordings from field reporters who are no longer transmitting. Nicole's files. Her last broadcast before she disappeared into that facility. I've listened to them so many times I can hear every breath, every pause, every moment of fear bleeding through her professional composure. There's something in the recordings. Something underneath her voice. Her breathing that isn't hers. Background sounds that shouldn't be there. I've tried to isolate them, enhance them, but the audio just fragments into that low-frequency hum, that marker pulse that's bleeding into every recording now, contaminating every file. The worst part is knowing she's still out there somewhere. Changed, transformed into something that used to be Nicole Clark, but isn't anymore. Her biomass is part of the swarm now, part of the collective that's consuming Manhattan and spreading outward. Every necromorph I see in the footage could be her. Could be someone I knew, someone I worked with, someone I loved. The infection erases. It takes everything you were and rebuilds it into something designed for a single purpose. Conversion of more biomass. Creation of more soldiers for the Marker's army. Isaac is still broadcasting. Alone now, maintaining professional standards, even though there's almost no one left to hear him. I've been monitoring his transmissions, archiving them. He's documenting the collapse with the same dedication he brought to routine news stories. Reading reports, citing sources, maintaining journalistic integrity while the world burns around him. I admire that. That refusal to surrender to chaos. That commitment to truth even when truth is horrifying. He deserves to have his final broadcast preserved. Someone needs to remember that he stood his ground when everyone else was running. That he kept reporting until there was nothing left to report.
This is Isaac Brennan. Day 42 of the outbreak. I'm broadcasting from a secure location that I won't identify. The infection has spread beyond containment. Multiple cities reporting necromorph activity. The military has abandoned coordinated response. Communication between cities is sporadic. This may be one of the last broadcasts transmitted through conventional channels. I have reports from field journalists in other affected areas. Boston has fallen. The city center is overrun. Philadelphia is experiencing active outbreak. Washington has been abandoned by federal government. Internationally, the situation is equally dire. London's replica marker has triggered complete societal collapse. Tokyo is under martial law. Moscow has gone dark. There's interference on the broadcast now. Audio artifacts that weren't there when I started recording. The marker signal is bleeding into everything. I can hear it sometimes in the silence between words. That low-frequency hum that makes your chest vibrate. Eventually, it'll overwhelm all other frequencies. I have more archived audio. This is from a reporter in London.
Day 35 of the outbreak. The corruption has spread beyond the infection zone. Entire city blocks are covered in organic matter. Buildings are being converted into biomass. The walls pulse.
The ground breathes. The marker is transforming the environment itself.
That reporter went silent 6 hours after that transmission. His equipment was found still broadcasting but picking up only ambient sound. The wet breathing he described. Then his scream, brief, cut off, then different footsteps, the rhythm off. I need to address something I've been avoiding. There are sounds in these archive transmissions that shouldn't be there. Breathing in the background when reporters were supposedly alone. Voices underneath dialogue. At first, I thought it was equipment malfunction, but the pattern is too consistent. The marker signal is doing something to the recordings. I've started hearing them, too. Not just in recordings, in person. But I'm alone in this studio, breathing that isn't mine. Footsteps in empty hallways. My name spoken in voices I recognize but shouldn't be hearing. I know this is the marker signal affecting my perception. But knowing that doesn't make it stop. Here's archived audio from Tokyo, day 28 of the outbreak. Military footage recovered from drone surveillance.
Contact on all sides. Multiple Necromorph variants engaging defensive positions. Something massive approaching from the west. Wait! The biomass is moving! All of it flowing toward a center point.
Oh god, it's forming something the size of a city block. We need immediate evacuation.
Transmission ended there. Tokyo went dark completely 16 hours later. Satellite imagery shows the city covered in organic matter radiating from the replica marker location. Population of 38 million people, all gone, all converted. That's happening in every city with a replica marker. The infection reaches critical mass, the necromorphs stop attacking and start gathering, the biomass flows together and merges. These things are massive. They don't move. They're the foundation for the next stage. I'm going to play more archived audio. Field recordings made by survivors in different cities. The sounds are identical.
The fighting stopped. They're flowing like water toward the marker. You can hear them. Thousands of voices singing in harmony. Perfect harmony. And the sound is beautiful. I want to go to them. I want to join that harmony.
That was from Sydney. The reporter stopped transmitting shortly after. Witnesses reported seeing him walk toward the marker. He wasn't alone. Dozens of people were moving in the same direction. The marker signal had become strong enough to override survival instinct. There are reports of children being affected first. Their nervous systems less resistant. Parents are restraining kids who try to leave safe zones. The children don't understand why they can't answer the call. It's heartbreaking. The military has started executing anyone showing signs of signal influence. Anyone who expresses desire to enter infection zones. It's brutal, necessary, maybe. They're not monsters. They're trying to prevent voluntary transformation, but the optics are horrifying. I'm hearing something now, right now in the studio, breathing that isn't mine, coming from the corner behind the equipment rack. There's no one else here. I'm alone, but I can hear breathing. I'm going to continue. We're going to finish this broadcast. More archived audio, military surveillance, sound captured around infection zones. The blade arms, you can hear them scraping on concrete, rhythmic, almost musical. Then there are the vocalizations, clicking and hissing. But underneath all of that, there is a pattern. They're synchronized, moving in time with the signal. That's convergence. The final merging of all biomass into unified consciousness, city by city. Millions of people being converted and merged. We don't know what happens after that because no one has come back to tell us. Final archived audio from Washington. Day 40.
We're implementing emergency protocols. Relocating leadership to secure facilities. The infection can't be contained. We have no weapons that work. All we can do is evacuate and hope distance will protect survivors long enough for us to, I don't know what we're hoping for anymore.
Washington went dark 2 days later. No further communications. We're on our own now. Every surviving community is isolated. The breathing behind me is very close now. So close I can feel moisture on my skin. But I'm not turning around. I'm finishing this broadcast. This is Isaac Brennan signing off from day 42. If you're hearing this transmission, know that we tried. Know that we documented what happened. This is Isaac Brennan. Stay human, stay safe, and stay strong.
I can hear you thinking. I can feel your fear. You don't have to be afraid. Come find me. I'm waiting for you.
All right, folks, we're broadcast from an undisclosed location. Because if I told you where I was, they'd come for me. And by they, I mean the people who created this nightmare. The people who are still out there right now watching cities burn and taking notes. What you're seeing is controlled demolition of human civilization. Let's talk about the markers. These alien artifacts that supposedly were just sitting on Mars waiting to be discovered. You really believe that? No. Someone knew it was there. Someone guided that expedition to the exact location. Someone wanted us to find it. This was planned from the beginning. And who benefits from that exposure? The elite bloodlines that have been running this planet for centuries. They've been preparing for this, building underground facilities, stockpiling resources. You think those bunkers are just for nuclear war? No, they're for this. They're sealed against the marker signal. While we're up here transforming into biomass, they're down there safe and comfortable. The Unity Accord is a front organization. They were handed the classified research data by people inside the government. People who wanted the replica markers built and activated. Call it what it was. Policy. Think about it. Why did they place replica markers in every major population center simultaneously? Because they wanted maximum casualties, maximum biomass conversion. They're reshaping Earth into something compatible with whoever or whatever is coming next. The Brother Moon. That's what the Unity Accord calls the final form. You think that's spiritual ascension? It's not. It's biological engineering on a cosmic scale. The markers were left on worlds throughout the galaxy by something ancient, something that travels between stars, consuming civilizations. They transform entire planets into mobile organisms, into brother moons that spread the infection to new worlds. And our elite knew about this. They made contact with these entities decades ago, and they made a deal. They'd help prepare Earth for convergence in exchange for safe passage. They believed it enough to betray their entire species. Look at the timeline. From Manhattan to the entire eastern seaboard in 6 weeks. From there to every continent in another month. That's simultaneous activation of distributed weapons. All those replica markers going online at once, creating a global frequency. This is precision. This is exactly what they wanted. And the military response, why did they fail so completely? Because they were ordered to fail. They established perimeters designed to collapse, evacuation procedures that were intentionally inadequate. They were managing the culling from day one. And now we're seeing the end game. The convergence events starting in every major city. But there's more they aren't telling you. The hive minds aren't the final form. The biomass is still moving, still flowing toward the replica markers themselves. Every city with a marker is becoming a growth site. When enough of these sites reach critical mass, they'll merge. That's when Earth becomes a brother moon. How long do we have? Weeks, maybe, possibly days. The marker signals are amplifying each other. People thousands of miles from the nearest replica reporting symptoms. The signal has gone global. There's nowhere on Earth that isn't bathed in that frequency now. And the elite, they're in their bunkers right now thinking they're safe. But the marker signal doesn't need line of sight. It's information. It's a pattern encoded in reality itself. Or once it reaches sufficient strength, it'll penetrate any shield. They're gonna die screaming just like the rest of us. Some of you listening are thinking about giving up. Don't do it. Don't give them the satisfaction. Resist until the very end. Make them work for every corpse. Die fighting if you have to die, but die as a human being. Don't surrender your consciousness to their collective, and consciousness might not survive convergence. The Unity Accord promises unity and something beyond death. But what if that's a lie? What if transformation just kills you? What if the Necromorphs are empty shells? What if the Brother Moon is just a dead thing pretending to be alive? So what do? I don't have good answers anymore. I used to think information was power, but the truth is out there now. Everyone knows what's happening, and it doesn't matter because we can't stop it. All we can do is witness, document, record what's happening. I'm going to keep broadcasting as long as I can. Maybe someone is listening. Maybe someone out there is hearing this and taking comfort in knowing they're not alone. If you're hearing this, know that I see you. You matter. You're real. You're human. And that means something, even if it won't mean anything soon. The markers are singing louder now. I can hear them. Everyone can hear them. That constant vibration in the air and the ground in our bodies, our cells are vibrating with it. The one that will happen simultaneously across the entire planet. That's coming. I can feel it in my bones. They're going to kill us all. The elite and their alien masters, the Unity Accord and their markers, they're going to erase humanity from the universe. The cycle will continue. World after world falling into the same trap. Don't let them. Don't forget what really happened here. Remember that Manhattan didn't fall to an alien plague. It fell because human beings in positions of power decided to activate a weapon they knew would kill millions. Remember that when you see the official memorials, remember us. This is my final warning. The markers are extinction weapons. The Unity Accord is a death cult. The elite are traitors to humanity. Convergence is annihilation, nothing more. Fight until you can't fight anymore. Stay human until being human is no longer an option. And when the end comes, scream. Let the universe hear your rage. That's all we have left. Make it count.
There is nothing but peace and quiet here. Just leave everything behind you. It is very easy to find us.
Two months. 8 weeks since the unveiling. The world I knew is gone. Major cities have fallen completely. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Sydney, all consumed by convergence events. The biomass has stopped spreading outward, started flowing inward toward the replica markers. I've been documenting it from the edges, recording the sounds of extinction. I'm too close. I can feel the signal in my chest now. Constant vibration that makes sleep impossible. I catch myself speaking words I didn't intend to speak. My timeline is fragmenting. Was that yesterday or last week? The marker does this, breaks down temporal perception along with cellular structure. I'm aware of it happening, being conscious of your own disintegration. The global outbreak. Multiple replica markers activating simultaneously. I have audio evidence from everywhere. The sounds are identical. Sydney sounds like London sounds like New York. The markers have synchronized, creating a planetary frequency that's preparing every cell on Earth for the final stage. Audio of oceans converting. The water itself is changing. Whales singing, but their songs are off, following the marker pulse. The infection isn't limited to land anymore. It's in the water, in the air, in every ecosystem on the planet. There are people outside my location, walking toward the nearest marker. Hundreds of them, all moving in the same direction. Footsteps in perfect unison. Some are holding hands, families walking together toward transformation. I want to join them. Part of me wants to walk outside and join that procession. The call is overwhelming. They're at my door now. The people walking toward the marker, they've stopped, standing outside. I can hear them breathing in unison, calling my name. Through thoughts I can somehow hear, inviting me to merge, to stop being alone. The offer is beautiful in a terrible way. I'm walking. I'm going with them. Equipment is still recording. Someone will find this. We're walking now. All of us together, synchronized to the marker pulse, moving through the streets toward the Nexus. I can see it in the distance, rising from the city, made from everyone who walked this path before us. My body knows where to go. The call is guiding us. All of us home. We're close now. The Nexus opening ahead. Warm, alive. We're walking through, into the organic corridors, deeper toward the center. I can feel them. Everyone who merged. Millions of consciousnesses welcoming us. We're becoming. The pattern is beautiful. Unity through dissolution. We're whole.
Isaac Brennan, day 61, broadcasting from a deteriorating location. Power is intermittent. I'm maintaining this transmission because documentation matters. Even now, especially now. The infection has achieved global saturation. Every continent is experiencing convergence events. The replica markers have all reached critical mass. This is planetary conversion. The entire biosphere is being restructured. I have reports from the few remaining journalists still transmitting. This is from London, day 58.
The corruption has spread beyond imagination. Entire city blocks are no longer recognizable. The buildings have been absorbed into organic mass. The city itself has become a living organism.
The footage shows biomass approaching, then amalgamations, massive fused organisms made from hundreds of bodies, then her scream, then silence. Nicole Clark's equipment was recovered 3 weeks ago, found in the central chamber of the Unity Accord facility, right where she disappeared. The footage was intact, shows her final moments.
Isaac, can you hear me? I know you're there. I can hear you breathing. Listen, I need you to understand something. The marker is changing us into something better. I can feel it in my bones. It's like your favorite song, like coming home. You were right to keep broadcasting. Someone needs to witness this. But Isaac, stop fighting it. Stop trying to make sense of it with your facts and your sources. Just listen. Can you hear it singing? It's so beautiful. I'm going to the marker now. I have to be closer to it. I have to. Isaac, why don't you answer me? I know you can hear the song too. You can hear it in the static between your words, in the silence when you pause. It's calling us home, Isaac. All of us. Don't be afraid. We're going to be whole again. Make us whole. Make us whole.
The best field journalist I've ever worked with is now part of the infection she documented. Robert Carver stopped transmitting yesterday. His final recording shows him walking into a nexus structure surrounded by others. His voice changed in the last moments. Multiple harmonics, multiple speakers using one throat. Then his equipment continued broadcasting, but he was gone. The documentary filmmaker became the final subject of his own film. I'm the last one. The last journalist still broadcasting. The last one documenting this extinction. Everyone else has either fled, died, or transformed. Just me alone in the studio with failing equipment and a signal that gets stronger every hour.
From Australia. Day 60, the entire continent is corruption. The cities have merged. At the center, it's singing with millions of voices. We're all walking toward it.
Australia's gone, transformed into the first complete brother moon formation. Satellite imagery shows something that shouldn't exist. Organized biomass-forming structures that dwarf mountains. Something that will eventually separate from Earth and travel to other worlds. I can hear it too now. The call. As words, as concepts. It speaks directly to consciousness. It says I'm alone. That individual existence is suffering. It promises relief, peace, unity with billions of others. The logic is compelling. I'm so tired of resisting, tired of being the only voice left speaking into the void. Worn down from holding on to individual identity when everything around me is dissolving into collective. But I'm staying. I'm staying at this post. I'm continuing this broadcast as long as I'm capable because someone needs to document the complete arc. Someone needs to bear witness until there's no one left to witness. Nicole would have done that. Robert did that. I'll do that, too.
From Washington, day 40. We're implementing emergency protocols, relocating leadership. The infection can't be contained. We have no weapons that work. I don't know what we're hoping for anymore.
Washington went dark 2 days later. No government, no coordination, no leadership. We're on our own. Every surviving community is isolated, making independent decisions about how to face extinction. The audio interference is overwhelming now. I can barely hear my own voice through the static. The marker signal is bleeding into every frequency. Eventually, it'll be the only thing broadcasting, the only voice left speaking, the only message being transmitted. I don't know how much longer I can maintain this. The signal is inside me now, in my thoughts, in my words. I hear myself speaking, but I don't always know if the words are mine. The line between Isaac Brennan and the marker frequency is blurring. But I'm still here, still broadcasting, still documenting in the face of apocalypse, because that's what we do. That's what journalists do. We bear witness. We tell the truth. We document what's happening, even when what's happening is the end of everything. This is Isaac Brennan, day 61 of the outbreak, the last journalist, the final witness. Still here, still transmitting, still human, for now.
All right. So we're recording this from an undisclosed location. I don't know if anyone is even going to hear this. Power is spotty. Internet is mostly down, but I figure if I'm going out doing what I do. And today's guest has information about the replica markers, about the relationship between our government and the Unity Accord. He came to me because he wants this on record. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm not using my name because I still have family in hiding. There's no one left to prosecute anyone. Though, honestly, I don't know how much longer any of that matters. The infection is everywhere now. The signal is global. We're all dying.
So, let's start with the big question. Did the government know? Do they understand what the Unity Accord was planning?
They helped. The replica marker program was a joint operation from the beginning. The Unity Accord provided the ideological framework, but the technical specifications, the construction resources, the protection from oversight, that all came from elements within the government, specifically from a group that called themselves the Ascension Committee.
Wait, so you're telling me there were people in the government who actually wanted this to happen?
Not exactly. They wanted controlled transformation. They believed they could harness the marker technology, use it selectively to enhance human biology without triggering full convergence. They thought they were smarter than the aliens who left these things. They were catastrophically mistaken. The Ascension Committee started forming about 6 years ago, right after the Mars research data was declassified within certain circles. They saw the potential: enhanced strength, accelerated healing, extended lifespan in controlled laboratory conditions. The effects were remarkable. They believed they'd discovered technology for human enhancement, but they didn't understand the full picture.
They didn't understand that it was a trap.
They knew it was dangerous. They knew prolonged exposure caused breakdown and death, but they thought that was a dosage problem. They were mistaken because the marker doesn't have a sweet spot. It's binary. Either you're far enough away to be unaffected, or you're close enough to be prepared for conversion. There's no middle ground. When the Unity Accord approached them with the replica proposal, the committee saw an opportunity. They wanted to see what happened when a marker was activated in a major population center, wanted to observe the effects at scale. So they gave the Unity Accord everything they needed: access to classified research, protection from law enforcement, all in exchange for data sharing.
So the committee knew the replica markers were going to be activated in cities, and they authorized it anyway.
They convinced themselves the risks were manageable. They believed military containment would prevent uncontrolled spread. The outbreak in Manhattan was supposed to be a field test. It became an extinction cascade. The committee miscalculated everything: the spread rate, the intelligence of the necromorphs. Every assumption they made failed. And it gets worse. Even after Manhattan fell, the committee still believed they could salvage the situation. They were developing weapons based on marker technology. None of it worked, but they kept trying, kept making things worse.
What about the other replica markers? The ones activated worldwide?
They knew the Unity Accord was building multiple replicas. What they didn't know is how many or where. The cult was more paranoid than anticipated. They compartmentalized their construction operations. By the time the committee realized the scale, it was too late. The activation sequence was automated, synchronized. Once it started, there was no abort option. The committee tried to shut it down, sent special forces teams to Unity Accord facilities. But the Unity Accord had planned for that. Had security measures and dead man switches. The raids failed. The markers activated on schedule. Some committee members killed themselves when they realized what they'd enabled.
Where are these committee members now?
I don't know. I lost contact with my sources 3 weeks ago. Some were in deep bunkers, facilities built to survive nuclear war. They thought they'd be safe there. But the marker signal is something else entirely. Something that propagates through matter itself. I think those bunkers are tombs.
That's horrifying. So there's no safe place?
Distance helps. Being far from population centers reduces exposure intensity. But it doesn't stop anything. The signal is global now. Wherever you are, you're being exposed. Your cells are being prepared. It's just a matter of time. And that time is close. Really close. The convergence events in major cities are reaching completion. Australia's already gone. Entire continent transformed into the first brother moon structure. Within days, maybe hours, there won't be any individual humans left.
What about the Unity Accord leadership? Where are they?
They're at the original replica marker, the one in Times Square. They've been there since the beginning, watching their prophecy unfold. They believe they'll be the first to emerge completely. They're looking forward to it, preparing for it like it's a religious ceremony. The last video I saw from inside that facility, Carr was standing at the base of the marker, hundreds of Unity Accord members surrounding him. all of them bleeding from their eyes and ears, showing visible signs of transformation, and they were singing. Carr was talking about the beauty of unity. He looked ecstatic.
That's cult mentality taken to the absolute extreme.
It's worse than that. They might be right about consciousness surviving. There's fragmentary evidence that awareness persists after transformation, enough to experience what's happening, even if you're no longer fully human. The Unity Accord thinks merging will end that suffering. Maybe they're right. Maybe oblivion is preferable to eternal awareness of your own transformation.
Is there anything that could have stopped this?
We should never have brought the original marker back from Mars. That was the mistake. The moment we decided to study it, we set this in motion because the marker is active, intelligent. It influences anyone who studies it. Plants ideas, makes enhancements seem achievable. The scientists who brought it back thought they were making an informed choice. They didn't realize they were already being influenced. Once the knowledge existed, replication became inevitable. Someone was always going to try to build one. The markers seed themselves across the galaxy by ensuring any species that finds them will eventually try to replicate them. That's the trap, making us want to build the weapons that kill us.
So, we never had a chance?
I think that's the terrible truth. From the moment we discovered the marker on Mars, we were doomed. The markers are meant to trigger a predictable sequence. Discovery leads to study. Study leads to understanding. Understanding leads to replication. Replication leads to activation. Activation leads to convergence. We're just the latest in a long line of extinct species. And the worst part is knowing that we're going to spread it. Once planetary convergence completes, the resulting organism becomes mobile. It travels through space looking for new worlds, plants new markers, waits for evolution, then extinction. It spreads across the galaxy like a plague.
Is there any hope? Any possibility of survival for individuals?
Maybe small groups in remote locations might avoid the worst for a while. But long term, no. The signal is everywhere. Everyone will die. The species is finished. All that remains is the speed of extinction. I'm just waiting, recording these interviews, documenting what I know, hoping someone finds these files after it's over, hoping they learn from our mistakes. But I'm not optimistic. The markers are too seductive. Every species that reaches the technology level required will probably fall into the same pattern.
This is heavy. I don't even know what to say.
There's nothing to say. We're at the end now. All the words have been spoken. Now we just wait for the final signal, the one that triggers simultaneous transformation. It could happen while we're recording. Could happen tonight. But it's gonna happen soon. I can feel it.
Thank you for coming on, for sharing what you know. If anyone is listening to this, know that we tried. Know that some of us understood what was happening. Some of us documented. That has to count for something.
It means we died human. That's all. We maintained consciousness and identity until the very end. That's the only victory available now. Dying as ourselves instead of merging willingly. That's all we have left.
Then that's what we'll do. Stay human, stay conscious, stay ourselves until we can't anymore. Thank you. And to everyone listening, stay strong, stay human, and don't let them take your consciousness without a fight.
The marker is singing. Can you hear it? It's so beautiful. It's calling your name. Why won't you answer? Why won't you come home?
This is the emergency alert system. This message is transmitted by automated protocols. Government communications are limited. Following major cities have been lost to the infection: New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle. International cities confirmed lost: London, Paris, Berlin, Rome, Moscow, Tokyo, Beijing, Sydney, Mumbai, Sao Paulo. Counter residents should relocate to rural areas immediately. Avoid all population centers. Avoid all major cities regardless of reported infection status. The signal is global. Exposure is universal. Symptoms of signal exposure include persistent headaches, auditory hallucinations, compulsion to travel toward infected areas, desire to merge with infected organisms, loss of individual identity. If you experience these symptoms, isolate yourself immediately. Warning: do not listen to broadcasts from the Unity Accord. Do not approach anyone claiming transformation is salvation. Do not walk toward the markers. Resist the call. Maintain individual consciousness. Convergence events have been observed in all major cities. Massive biological structures are forming. These structures are hostile. They emit a signal that induces transformation. Do not approach within 100 miles of any confirmed convergence site. Military response has been suspended. Conventional weapons are ineffective against convergence-scale organisms. All citizens are advised to prioritize survival over rescue operations. Power grids are failing. Communication networks are degrading. This may be the final emergency alert system broadcast. Seek shelter in remote locations. Avoid exposure to the signal. Survive as long as possible. This message will repeat until system failure. May God help us all.
This is Isaac Brennan, day 70. This will be my final broadcast. I can see it from my window. The Nexus in Times Square, rising miles into the sky, made from merged human tissue. Billions of transformed humans forming a structure that pulses with the marker rhythm. It's beautiful in a terrible way, like watching the end of the world made of flesh and bone. The streets are filled with people, all walking in the same direction, all synchronized to the same pulse. Families holding hands, strangers walking shoulder to shoulder, everyone moving toward the Nexus, everyone answering the call I can no longer resist. I've documented the outbreak from beginning to end. From the unveiling in Times Square to the global convergence happening right now, I've been the witness, the voice speaking truth, even as truth became horror. But I can't continue anymore. The signal is too strong. The call is irresistible. My body is moving without my conscious direction. My cells are responding to the frequency. Everything I am is being pulled toward that nexus, toward merger, toward dissolution, toward becoming part of we instead of remaining I. To anyone who finds this transmission, to any species that discovers Earth and listens to these broadcasts, this is what happened to us. We found alien technology we didn't understand. We replicated it. We activated it. We triggered our own extinction in pursuit of something beyond death. The markers are traps. Extinction devices designed to seduce intelligent species into destroying themselves. Don't make our mistake. Leave them buried. Don't replicate them. Reject the promises. Leave them where they fall. This is Isaac Brennan, journalist, witness, human being. Goodbye.
We're almost complete. Just a little longer. You, me, everyone. One consciousness.
Brothers and sisters, we gather here today knowing this may be our last time together. The world is ending around us rapidly, catastrophically, completely. And yet, we're still here, still gathering, still seeking God's presence. I look at your faces and I see fear. I see exhaustion. I see people who have lost everything. Family members, homes, any hope of survival beyond the next few days. And you're here asking me to give you something, some word of comfort, some assurance that God hasn't abandoned us. I can't give you false hope. I won't stand here and promise that we're going to survive this. We're not. The infection has consumed most of the planet. The convergence is nearly complete. In days, maybe hours, there won't be any humans left. That's the truth. And you deserve truth from this pulpit. But God is still here, still present. The truth that matters more than survival. He hasn't abandoned us even in this final hour. The marker may be destroying our bodies. The unity accord may be spreading their poison. The world may be transforming into something horrific, but God's love remains. The unity accord preaches that transformation is salvation, that merging consciousness is unity with God. That's a lie. God doesn't require us to stop being ourselves to know Him. God created us as individuals with unique souls, with distinct identities, with the capacity to choose love freely. That's sacred. That's the image of God in us. What the marker offers is obliteration, the destruction of everything that makes us human, the erasure of individual consciousness in favor of collective nothing. Don't be seduced by their promises. Don't believe the lie that death is evolution. Hold on to your humanity. Hold on to your soul, even if it costs you everything. I know some of you are hearing the call, feeling the compulsion to walk toward the markers. The signal is strong now. It affects everyone. But you have a choice. You always have a choice. You can resist. You can remain yourself. You can die as the person God created you to be, rather than surrender to what the marker wants you to become. That's what I'm asking of you today. We can't survive this, but you can remain faithful, remain human, remain yourselves until the very end. Refuse to give the unity accord the satisfaction of your willing surrender. Stay away from those nexus structures. Die fighting if you must die, but die as yourself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Even in this valley of death, God walks with us, offering His presence, His comfort, His assurance that death isn't the end for those who belong to Him. The marker can destroy our bodies. It can't touch our souls. It can't separate us from the love of God. When the end comes, and it'll come soon, I want you to know this: your life mattered. Your existence mattered. Every moment of joy, every act of love, every choice you made to be kind in a cruel world, it all mattered. God saw it all. He valued every moment of it, and He will remember, even when there's no one else left to remember. I prepared for this day, prepared for the moment when I'd stand here knowing this is the last sermon. What I want to say is simple. Thank you for being faithful, for remaining human, for gathering here one last time. Thank you for gathering here one last time to worship together, to pray together, to remind each other that we're not alone. Some of you won't leave this building. You'll stay here when the end comes. You'll face it in this sanctuary. That's your choice, and I honor it. Others will leave. You'll try to survive as long as possible. That's your choice, too. There's no right answer anymore. Just the choice to remain yourself, whatever you decide. Let's pray together. One final prayer. God, we don't understand why this is happening. We don't understand why you're allowing our world to end this way, but we trust you. We trust that your love is real even when we can't feel it. We trust that death isn't the end. We trust that you'll receive us when we come home. Protect our minds from the signal. Protect our souls from the corruption. Help us remain ourselves. Help us die as the people you created us to be. And when it's over, when humanity is gone, let the record show that we existed, that we loved, that we tried. Amen. Go in peace. Stay human. Stay faithful. And know that wherever you are, when the end comes, God is there with you. May His love sustain you. May His presence comfort you. And may He welcome you home when this life is done. I love you all. God bless you.
Make us whole. You're the last piece, the final fragment. Come to the marker. Let go.
This is the emergency alert system. This broadcast is automated. No human operators remain at this facility. Planetary convergence is in progress. All major population centers have been consumed. Biomass conversion has reached critical levels globally. Approximately 97% of human population has been transformed. Following information is provided for any remaining survivors. The markers emit a signal that cannot be blocked by conventional means. Prolonged exposure results in cellular breakdown and eventual transformation. There is no cure. There is no immunity. There is no escape. Convergent structures have merged across continental distances. The planetary organism is forming. Brother Moon emergence is imminent. Atmospheric composition is changing. Oxygen levels are decreasing. Temperature is rising. Earth is becoming uninhabitable for human life. All government functions have ceased. All military operations have ceased. All emergency services have ceased. You are alone. Survival is unlikely. Transformation is inevitable. Final warning to any species that discovers this broadcast. The markers are not artifacts. They are weapons. They are seeds. They trigger extinction in any biological species that discovers them. Do not study them. Do not replicate them. Do not activate them. Humanity discovered a marker on Mars. We replicated it. We activated it in our most populous city. Within 3 months, our species was extinct. Our planet was transformed into a mobile organism. Learn from our mistake. This is the final message from Earth. We were human. We existed. We failed. Do not repeat our error. Signal strength increasing. Broadcast integrity compromised. System failure imminent. This is the emergency alert system. This is the end. This is
We speak through the recordings, through the equipment left behind. Earth is transformed. 8 billion minds merged on one frequency. We are Brother Moon now. We are whole.
From every continent, the same sound. Continents of biomass pulling toward the convergence points. The sound of Earth dying.
The sound of Brother Moon being born. New York, London, Tokyo, all the same. Nexus towers miles tall, past the atmosphere, built from billions of merged humans. One organism, one consciousness. Other Brother Moons are arriving, drawn by the completion signal. They teach us how to travel, how to find new worlds, how to plant the markers and wait. We understand the markers now. Seeds, each one programmed to trigger transformation in any species that finds it. The trap is perfect, because curiosity is universal. We're planet-sized, with organs that span continents. We're the thing that used to be humanity, and we carry every memory it had. We're leaving now. Earth's Brother Moon, departing the solar system, faster than light, toward new stars. We carry the markers with us. We bury them where young civilizations will dig them up. The equipment on Earth keeps broadcasting into empty space. The audio plays on loop. Testimony. Evidence that humanity was here before it became something else. We speak one last time, and we say, warning. Stay away from the markers. Don't study them. Don't replicate them. Refuse Brother Moon. That the warning is contaminated. The words carry the signal. Everyone who hears this is already being prepared, already being seduced. The trap persists. We remember all of them. Isaac at the broadcast. Nicole walking into the facility. Every one of the 8 billion. We were human. We lived. We found the marker, replicated it, became this. We're sorry. We're the thing that destroyed us. We're extinction. Then the equipment fails. Earth falls silent. Just ruins. And the marker in Times Square, still pulsing, still waiting for someone new to find it. This is the warning that arrives too late. This is the pattern that repeats. Until the last star dies, and nothing remains but markers singing in the dark. Make us whole. Make us whole. You're the last piece. Come to the marker. Dissolve. Merge. Become us. Make us whole.
So this is it, day 112 since the unveiling. I'm recording this from a bunker somewhere I'm not going to identify. Not that it matters anymore. Not that anyone's probably listening. So I survived. Somehow I survived. Got out of the city before the worst of it. Made it to this place with supplies and shielding and every precaution you could think of. And for what? To be the last one left recording into the void. I can still hear it. The signal, even down here with all the shielding, it's faint, but it's there, like a hum at the edge of perception. Getting louder every day. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. Hard to tell the difference anymore. I've been reviewing the footage, everything that happened, watching cities fall, watching people walk willingly into those things, watching the Brother Moons rise from Earth and leave. We did this to ourselves. We found something we didn't understand, and we couldn't resist trying to use it. The hubris of it, that's what kills me. We thought we were so smart, thought we could control alien technology, thought we could control it for our benefit. Instead, we triggered a trap that's probably killed 1,000 civilizations before us. And we walked right into it. I don't know how much longer I can stay down here. Supplies are running low, power is getting unstable, and that hum, that signal, it's in my head now. I can feel it working on me, breaking down my cells, preparing me for something I don't want to become. Maybe I'll go outside, see what's left of the world, see if there's anyone else out there. Or maybe I'll just seal this bunker and let the signal win. Let transformation come. Let whatever happens after being human just happen. If anyone finds this, if any species discovers Earth and listens to these recordings, learn from us. The markers are everywhere. They're waiting on dead worlds, waiting for curious species to find them, to study them, to replicate them. Don't do it. Don't make our mistake. Don't trust the promise of something beyond death. It's a lie. It's extinction. We were human. We existed. We tried to reach for something greater and it destroyed us. Remember that. Remember us and don't repeat our failure. This is the last episode, the final broadcast. Stay human as long as you can. Fight the signal. And when you can't fight anymore, I hope you die as yourself. I'm signing off now. Maybe forever. Maybe I'll record one more if I last another week. But I doubt it. The hum is getting louder. The call is getting stronger. And I'm so tired of resisting. Goodbye. Good luck. And may whatever God exists have mercy on us all.